you don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look at better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper than
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Naruto Joins Pokemon World? Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of KitsuneDragon on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Outside Sprout Tower, Naruto and Quilava appeared outside of Sprout Tower and then looked at the sky. The sun had already set and it was night time. The only source of light being the stars, the moon and the flames on Quilava's body. Seems we were in there longer than we thought, Naruto said. Quilava Naruto looked at his partner as he spoke before sweat dropping. You do know, I can't understand you right. Quilava crimson eyes narrowed at his trainer and sweat dropped also. Then the two turned as they heard the sound of running feet. They saw Hinata running towards them with a worried look on her face. Oi, Hinata-chan, Naruto called out. Hinata panted slightly along with Eevee as they ran towards the blonde and the volcano Pokemon. Naruto-kun, why you're alright, Hinata said with a small smile. I though something terrible had happened to you since you didn't see come out. No, I'm fine. I creamed all of them, though they got stronger on the way to the top, Naruto explained. Hinata then looked around with a worried expression before looking at Naruto. And Naruto-kun, where's Cyndaquil? Hinata asked. Eevee was also worried for the safety of her Pokemon friend. Naruto smiled and then pointed at Quilava. Quill was all the evolved Pokemon said. Hinata's and Eevee's eyes widened. You mean that? Hi, Cyndaquil evolved. He's Quilava now, Naruto said with a foxy grin. Well then see, congratulations, Hinata said with a smile. Arigato, Hinata-chan. So how was your training? He asked as the four began to walk towards the Pokemon Center. It was alright. I trained with Sentret and Eevee. I also trained Caterpie. But it was hard for it since it only knows T-Tackle and String Shot. But I made it work, Hinata said. I also bought some ball capsules and S-seals for the contest, Naruto nodded. There was a period of silence in the group as they entered the Pokemon Center and waved to Nurse Shizune. Nurse Shizune, do you have a 2-bedroom room we could stay in? Naruto asked. Nurse Shizune looked at them and smiled. I think so, let me check. Shizune looked at the computer and typed a few keys. Oh, you're in luck, we have one room like that left. Straight down hall to the back, second door on the left. Arigato, Naruto and Hinata said. Quilava and Eevee said their cried in thanks as they followed their trainers. Quilava was walking alongside Naruto when Eevee tried to touch Quilava's fire, but when the evolution Pokemon tried to do so, Quilava quickly retracted the flames so as to not burn the normal type. Okay, here it is, Naruto said as he opened the door. The room was rather basic. 2 small beds, a carpet-covered floor, 1 large window through which you could see the moon hanging there in the sky to bask the city in its silvery glory. There was also a bathroom. Well, and then Naruto-kun, we should change and sleep. Why, you have a Gym battle tomorrow, Hinata stuttered. Naruto nodded. You're right, Naruto said as he saw Hinata retrieve her pajamas. Then Hinata went into the bathroom and changed into her pajamas, which was made of purple cotton with scattered pictures of Umbreon and Ispian with little hearts on it. Naruto had changed also, which was just a white t-shirt and a pair of orange sleeping shorts. The two then went to bed, Eevee and Quilava lying down on the beds that their trainers were sleeping on. Good night, Hinata-chan, Naruto said as he flicked the light off. Good night, Naruto-kun, and good luck tomorrow, Hinata said. Arigato, Hinata-chan, and your stuttering's going down ... Your voice sounds a lot cuter when you don't stutter, Naruto said with a small blush. The darkness obscuring it, and Hinata was extremely thankful for the lack of light because her entire face was red with the blood rushing to her face as she blushed. The next day, early the next morning, Naruto and Quilava had trained by battling the wild Pokemon on Route 30. Naruto was able to train Quilava to reach level 16 by the time Hinata had woken up. He had left a note telling her where he was so that when she woke up to come and get him. After the morning training, Naruto healed Quilava before the four finally walked over to the nearby gym. Naruto, Quilava, Hinata and Eevee stood outside the doors that led to the Violet City gym. It was a regular traditional Japanese-styled building, but looked more like a dojo. There was no roof because the gym leader here used flying-type Pokemon. Are you ready? And Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Naruto gave a thumbs up to his traveling companion. Of course, Hinata-chan. "Don't worry, Quilava and I are gonna beat this guy," Naruto said, and then the group walked through the doors to the gym. Inside it was rather spacious. The room was a bit bigger than the large rooms that made up the Sprout Tower's floors, which were pretty big. As Naruto and Quilava took a few steps, there was the sound of footsteps and the group turned to see a rather old man with long white hair. He wore a white shirt beneath a sky blue vest, a pair of dark blue pants that looked like what samurais wore, and a pair of white socks and sandals. "Konnichiwa, Challenger. I am Shino, gym leader of Violet City. I am Naruto Uzumaki. I have come here to defeat you and get a gym badge from you," Naruto declared, pointing at the gym leader. Shino nodded and then clapped his hands. A young red-haired girl who looked to be at least 10 years old ran up to Shino. She was dressed in a similar outfit to the gym leader except her vest and pants were a light shade of purple. "Amaru, we have another challenger." "Hi, Shino-sama," the young girl, identified as Amaru, said. The girl ran to the side of the gym and drew from her vest 2 flags. One was red, to represent the gym leader, and the other was green, to represent the challenger. "Alright," Amaru said. "This is a 2-on-2 match between Shino-sama, gym leader of Violet City, and what's your name?" Amaru asked with a nervous chuckle. Everyone's sweat dropped at the girl's question. Shino face-palmed himself as he shook his head. "Oh, Amaru, this is embarrassing," the gym leader thought. "Naruto Uzumaki from New Bark Town," the blonde replied with narrowed eyes. "Hi, so a 2-on-2 match between Shino-sama and Naruto Uzumaki from New Bark Town. Only the challenger will be allowed to use substitutions during this battle. The use of items is also allowed," Amaru explained. The red-haired girl looked back and forth between the two trainers, and then brought down the red flag in a chopping motion. "Hey Jim." "Alright, Pidgey, Akuzo," both trainers yelled. Naruto and Shino's Pidgeys looked at each other ready for an aerial battle. "Ah, so you have also? Well, mine is stronger," Shino said. Pidgey used Tackle. The foe's tiny bird Pokemon flew towards Naruto and struck it with speed Naruto couldn't believe. "Sugoi, that's fast," Naruto said. "Pidgey, quick, dodge it and then use sand attack," Naruto yelled. The blonde's Pidgey nodded before performing a barrel roll to avoid Shino's Pokemon, and then flapped its wings to kick a large amount of sand. "Amaru, I thought I told you to clean this place," Shino yelled. Amaru's sweat dropped. "Oh whoops." The sand clouded Shino's and his Pidgey's vision before a small silhouette formed in the sand cloud formed. "Tackle attack," Naruto yelled, and then Shino's Pidgey was struck in the chest by Naruto's own flying type that sent the Pidgey careening through the air. "Now follow up with Gust." Pidgey. The flying type began to flap its wings furiously, and the tornado of wind formed. The vortex flew towards Shino's Pidgey, who was sucked up into the tornado. Shino watched as his Pokemon was sent into the gust tornado, but merely smirked. "Why are you smirking?" Naruto asked. "Because I'm actually having fun in this." Pidgey used gust, Shino said. "Nani?" Naruto cried out. Hinata, Eevee and Quilava watched from the sidelines as a tornado formed within Naruto's gust, causing it to disperse and allow Shino's attack to continue through and suck in Naruto's Pidgey. Naruto watched as his own flying type was swirled around in the spiraling wind circulation system before being launched into the wall of the gym. Pidgey slid to the ground, hurt, but not fainted. "Come on Pidgey, get up," Naruto called out. Pidgey nodded and managed to stand on its feet. However, "Pidgey, quick attack," Shino cried out, and then his Pidgey dove down like an eagle on a poor piece of meat and then struck forth, sending Pidgey to the ground. "Turn around and strike again," Shino commanded. The foe Pidgey nodded before circling back and knocking back Naruto's Pokemon to the ground as it continued to try and stand on its own 2 feet. Naruto gritted his teeth, his mind racing as he watched his Pokemon being continuously batted the ground. Then a brainstorm occurred. "That's it," Naruto whispered to himself. He then waited for Shino's Pidgey to circle around and dive down. Wait for it now," he thought. "Pidgey, quick attack," Shino yelled. "Sand attack." "Nani?" Shino watched as sand was kicked up and blinded his Pokemon. Pidgey used Tackle and used the corkscrew, Naruto yelled. Pidgey nodded and spun, making itself look like a brown and white feathery drill that slammed into Shino's Pokemon. "Now follow up with quick attack," Naruto cried out. "Pidgey!" Pidgey screeched before flying forth, leaving a trail of white and brown behind it as it sped towards Shino's Pidgey and struck home, sending the gym leader's Pokemon into the wall. "Now finish it with gust and quick attack." Once more Naruto's Pokemon kicked up a wind vortex that sucked in Shino's Pidgey before Naruto's Pidgey dove into the tornado and slammed into Shino's Pokemon. The flying-type gym leader watched in shock as his Pokemon was knocked out of the battle and into a wall by Naruto's own. Naruto's Pidgey panted and gave a smirk before landing on the ground to rest. "You did well," Pidgey, Shino said as he returned the downed Pokemon to its ball in a beam of red light. "Yada, good job Pidgey," Naruto said. His Pokemon's level increased, growing to level 14. Job well done, Naruto. However, can you beat my last and strongest Pokemon? Shino asked with a smirk. He took out a Pokemon and pressed the center button, causing it to increase in size. Let's finish this, Shino said as he threw the ball into the air. What is it? The two trainers and their Pokemon thought. Pidgey glared at the Pokeball, ready to fight once more. The ball opened and in a flash of white light the Pokemon formed. Pidgey's eyes widened as it saw Pidgeotto. The Pokemon cried. The larger flying type had a cream-colored feathery underside as well as same-colored feathers on its face and lower wings areas. Red feet that had 3 long, sharp talons that looked like it could rip flesh from bone. Brown feathers covered most of its back, head and upper wing areas. Atop its head, plumage made of long red feathers stretched from its head to its mid-back, and alternating red and cream colors made its tail feathers. Black feathers cupped its face and a single red beak pointed and snapped at Pidgey. Beady black eyes glared at the shorter flying type. A Pidgeotto, but that's Pidgey's evolved form, Hinata said with wide eyes. Haha, you'll never win with this Pokemon on my side, Shino said with a large grin. We'll see about that, Naruto growled in his mind. Pidgey, quick attack. The tiny bird Pokemon flinched from the call and shook its head. The intimidation ability finally wearing off before Pidgey glared and took off with tremendous speed. Pidgeotto, tackle it, Shino said with a bored look. Pidgeotto nodded and with a screech it flew towards Pidgey and knocked it to the ground with a powerful full-body tackle. Pidgey plummeted to the ground. Now use Gust, Shino commanded. Titatatatu. Pidgeotto cried as it flapped its wings. Powerful winds swirled into one entity, forming a tornado. However, this one was much larger than one Pidgey could ever make, even if it tried its hardest. The tornado swallowed Naruto's Pidgey, and then the tornado dispersed, showing Pidgey hovering in the air for a while before Pidgeotto performed a quick attack, sending the flying type to the ground. Naruto watched as his Pokemon fell before running out onto the field and catching it in his arms. Cool, Pidgey moaned in pain. Don't worry, little guy. You did great, Naruto said with a soft smile. You take a nice long rest. Naruto took out Pidgey's Pokeball and returned it with a beam of red light into the sphere of red and white. Alright, Quilava, let's go, Naruto said. Quilava. The fur on Quilava's head and rear ignited before bursting into flames as it was ready to fight. Ah, I see a Quilava. Quite a rare Pokemon. However, you cannot defeat my Pidgeotto, Shino said. Quilava. Pidgeotto. Quick attack. Both gym leader and challenger commanded. Both Pokemon took off, leaving behind trails of color at the speed they moved at, colliding with one another as they battled for dominance. Quilava used Smokescreen to cloud Pidgeotto's vision and then use Ember, Naruto said. Quilava nodded before a cloud of smoke flew from the flames on its head and blocked Pidgeotto. You fool, Pidgeotto has the ability Keen Eye. You cannot stop it from finding you, Shino reminded his challenger before Pidgeotto flew through the smoke using quick attack and struck Quilava. Quilava flipped in midair and landed on his feet. Ember, Naruto called out. Quilava's flames burned brightly before expelling small orange fireballs from his mouth. Pidgeotto dodged the all. Now use Gust, Shino said. Naruto watched as his fire-type partner was engulfed by a tornado of wind and then thrown away into the wall of the gym. Quilava slid down the wooden wall and managed to remain upright. However, Pidgeotto used quick attack on the downed Pokemon, sending Quilava skyward. Come on, Quilava, don't quit on me, Naruto yelled as he saw Pidgeotto about flap its wings for another Gust attack. Then Naruto remembered something that his mother had told him. Flashback. A young 5-year-old Naruto was going camping in the nearby grassy area of Route 29 with his mother. Aka-chan, let's set up a fire, it's getting dark, the chibi-looking Naruto said with a scared look in his eyes. He ran over to the red-haired woman and clutched her leg, looking around for anything spooky. It's okay, Naru-chan, Kyuubi Kushina called the Ninetales, and then using the small amount of firewood she collected, had Kyuubi use a low-powered flamethrower attack to light the sticks, turning it into a roaring campfire. Sugoi, Aka-chan, I want a Pokemon like Kyuubi, Naruto said with a foxy grin. Kushina chuckled and ruffled the boy's hair. The wind then blew and the fire's flames climbed higher, which caused Naruto to stare in wonder. Aka-chan, how come the wind made the fire bigger? He asked, tilting his head to the side cutely. Well, Naru-chan, fire burns this thing in the air called oxygen. The wind blows the air towards the fire and therefore it brings more oxygen to the fire and causes more oxygen to be burnt. Thus the fire gets bigger. Understand? She asked at the end of her explanation. Naruto looked at the fire and nodded slightly. Hi, sorta, Kushina chuckled and ruffled the blonde boy's hair. You're such a smart boy. End flashback. Naruto's eyes came back into focus as he watched Quilava manage to hit a tackle attack on his foe before it could use Gust. Pidgeotto used Roost, Shino said. Pidgeotto nodded before being surrounded by a sky blue aura. Its wounds healed before it looked completely healed. Quilava, come over here for a potion, Naruto said as he reached into his bag and pulled out the item. He sprayed Quilava with the potion and thus healed his Pokemon. Right, well looks like we're evenly matched, Shino said. Naruto smirked. No we're not, because I'm going to win. Quilava Ember. Quilava used the multiple fireballs to hit Pidgeotto, burning it. Pidgeotto suspended itself in the air, however it suddenly caught a flame before the flames vanished. Alright, it's under the burn status, Naruto thought. Quilava used Quick Attack. You use Quick Attack too, Pidgeotto, Shino said. The two Pokemon collided with each other and Shino and Naruto smirked, both for different reasons. Pidgeotto once caught a fire as the burn status affected it. It's over, Pidgeotto used Gust. At its close range your Quilava will be down for the count. Naruto-kun, Hinata whispered as she watched her friend grit his teeth, but to her curiosity she saw a smirk find itself on the blonde's face. Alright, now Quilava use Ember on the Gust attack. Naruto yelled. Nani, was what the entire room yelled out. Hinata, Amaru, Eevee and Shino watched it all as the tornado formed by Gust was suddenly hit with the multitude of fiery orbs. The Gust attack suddenly caught on fire and due to its proximity to the attack, Pidgeotto was sucked into the flaming vortex. You fool, your Quilava will be hurt also, even if it is a fire type. Shino said. No, Quilava has non-flammable fur covering its entire body, Naruto said with a foxy grin. Shino's eyes widened. Then that means. Naruto's smile grew larger as he saw Shino's scared face and nodded. Hi. Your Pidgeotto will be the one going down in flames. The fire tornado engulfed both Pidgeotto and Quilava before the oxygen that made the tornado burned up and then it vanished, revealing a perfectly normal Quilava and a smoking Pidgeotto falling to the ground. Pidgeotto fell to the ground, but Quilava made sure to have it land on his back. Burning it was pain enough. Having the Pokemon land on the unforgiving floor seemed cruel. Quilava said to Shino before resting the bird Pokemon at Shino's feet, and then ran towards Naruto happily. Naruto smiled as he walked up to Shino. Well, I'm getting old. I guess this new generation is better than mine was, Shino said with a smirk and held out his hand for Naruto to shake. Naruto did and then watched as Shino reached into his pants pocket and pulled out a shining silver badge. It was silver in color and looked like a pair of silvery wings. This is the Zephyr badge. Your proof, your triumph over me, Shino said as he handed to Naruto. It is yours. Naruto trembled as he took the badge. Hinata looked worriedly at the trembling blonde before seeing his head shoot up and a foxy grin plastered on his face. Argiato. Hinata-chan, look, I did it. I won, he exclaimed to the girl. Hinata nodded with a smile. Hi, G, good job. And Naruto-kun, she said. Oh, also, Naruto, take this, Shino said, handing Naruto a small disc. This is TM51, Roost. This move is used by flying types and heals them when they're injured. You could teach it to that Pidgey of yours. Arigato, Shino-san, Naruto said with a bow. Shino smiled and nodded as he watched the two trainers walk away before turning to Amaru. Amaru, now listen to me. You saw how much sand was kicked up for that sand attack, Shino growled before pulling a broom out of nowhere and thrusted it into Amaru's hands. The red-haired girl got the message and began to sweep. And you keep sweeping until there is not one speck of dust left. You know, I could sue you for child labor, Amaru said. But you won't. I'll call child services. Outside the gym. Well, Hinata-chan, I won my first badge. Looks like it's time for your first contest tomorrow, Naruto said. Hinata nodded. Hi, B, but I'm all really nervous. I am not sure if Eevee and I will win it, Hinata said. Naruto sighed and then stopped before grabbing Hinata by her shoulder and forcefully turning her to face him. Hinata-chan, look at me, he said. Hinata looked up into his ice blue eyes, her blush rising due to proximity between their faces. You will win, and if you don't there is no problem. You can just try again at the next contest. You're a beginner coordinator, so if you lose it's no big deal. You can try again in the next contest and remember what I told you. Keep confident and I'll be cheering for you in the stands. The blonde smiled at the girl who blushed before nodding. Why, you're right, I'll do my best. That's the spirit. Now let's see some of those moves you came up for, Eevee, Naruto said. Hinata nodded. The next day, the large amount of people who came to Violet City to see the contest seemed to have increased as Naruto and Hinata shoved their way to front desk to register. Hinata, Quilava and I will be in the stands. Do your best, okay? Naruto said. Hi, Hinata said with a small smile. Hinata had gotten her dress for the competition and was ready for the contest. Mateo, Naruto-kun, she called out. The blonde turned and looked at Hinata who was fidgeting. Would it be alright if I use Quilava for the first part of the contest? She asked. Naruto nodded and smirked. Of course, he said as he bent down to Quilava. Now do exactly as she says, okay buddy. Quilava nodded with a smile. Quill and then Naruto left. Well, Hinata, you're here. Hinata turned at the sound of a familiar voice. The blue-haired girl turned to see the pink-haired girl that was Sakura Haruno. Oh, Sakura-chan. How are you? Hinata said. I'm fine. I just registered. Chikorita is ready, aren't you? Chico, the leaf Pokemon said with a smile. So, which Pokemon are you using? Sakura asked. Hinata pointed down and Sakura looked to see the lovable little Pokemon that was Eevee and the fiery Quilava. Awa, Eevee is such a cute little guy. She then saw the Eevee glare at her. Girl, she asked, and then saw Eevee's face brighten up. Well, good luck to you and Eevee. By the way, where's Naruto? Sasuke-kun is going to watch in the stands. You have no idea how much begging it for me to get him to stay and watch. I have an idea, Hinata said with a smirk. Naruto-kun is in the S stands. He's lending me Quilava for the appeal part of the C contest. I see, Sakura said with a nod. How is the blonde baka doing anyway? He won his first Gym B battle against SH Shino-san yesterday, and got the Zephyr badge, Hinata said. Sugoi, Naruto actually got his badge. Sasuke-kun got his badge the day before, Sakura said. Then they heard a voice over the intercom. Will all coordinators please get ready for the contest, the voice said. Well, see you, Sakura said. Hinata nodded before going to the changing room. Violet City contest stage. The crowd was roaring in anticipation as the stage lights focused on a single person who walked up to the front of the stage. Oh hey oh Violet City, the person cried. The announcer was a woman with purple hair that was put up into a spiky kind of ponytail. She had black eyes and wore a black tank top with an Ekans on the front along with a purple miniskirt. A long black trench coat was worn over everything, including her black high-heel shoes. This was Anko Mitarashi, the annoying yet surprisingly attractive contest announcer. Damn these shoes, she muttered as she covered the mic. I should have worn my combat boots. Anyways, welcome one and all to the Violet City Pokemon contest. Today we have our 3 judges. The first is Ms. Tsunade, the gym leader of Celadon City in the Kanto region. One of the legendary Sannin and a former Grand Festival winner. I look forward to seeing the potential here today, the busty blonde said with a smile. Next is Deidara, our current Grand Festival champion. Pokemon contests are like art, it's a bang. The blonde man said as he brushed aside the blonde hair that covered his left eye only for it to come back to that spot. And Violet City's very own nurse Shizune. I hope to see a good performance from each one of you worthy coordinators, the nurse said with a bow. Now let's see our first contestant, Ino Yamanaka from New Bark Town. The platinum blonde girl smiled to crowd. She was wearing a flowing purple dress that she had held up so that she wouldn't trip. Alright, Sunkern, show them how it's done, Ino said as she threw the ball-capsuled Pokeball. Sunkern flew out in a flash of light as the seal on the capsule activated, allowing Sunkern to be covered with many pink petals. Sunkern used growth, Ino said, and then Sunkern glowed with a green aura to enhance a beauty never seen before performing a front flip and landing on the stage. Then just before the petals vanished, Ino commanded her Sunkern to use Mega Drain. The tornado of red energy swirled into the sky, taking the pink petals into the energy vortex as the Mega Drain changed from red to green. Good thing I had Shikamaru give me this TM. Sunkern used Sunny Day. Sunkern nodded, and then a bright light, like that of the sun, glowed around Sunkern as the seed Pokemon was engulfed by the Mega Drain, allowing the energy tornado to appear to glow before dispersing into sparkles, and as the remaining petals from the seal scattered over the audience along with the sparkles, Sunkern used Grass Whistle, thus appealing to the judges and the audience's sense of hearing. Ino and Sunkern then took a bow. Excellent use of the Sunny Day and Mega Drain, Tsunade said. That was a bang. So pretty, Deidara said as he clapped his hands together. Such a beautiful combination, and that Grass Whistle was divine, Shizune said with a light clap. Ino left the stage as the next few competitors came on. There was one with a Ninetales jumping through its own fire spin, and a Gyarados that performed Dragon Dance while spewing out the flames of a Dragon Rage and mixed it with a Thunderbolt attack. Alright, next is Sakura Haruno, Anko announced. The pink-haired trainer ran onto the stage wearing a pink and red blouse with a white skirt that ended past her knees. Naruto clapped for her rather loudly, although he seemed to have toned it down to what he would have normally done after realizing how stupid he would look screaming his lungs out. Sakura looked through the crowd, rather nervous. She had spotted Sasuke, sitting in his seat as if he didn't care, but the light clapping he was doing made it feel as if he did. Alright, Chikorita, spotlight, Sakura shouted as she threw the ball. Chikorita appeared in a flash of white light surrounded by colorful flowers of red, blue, and yellow. Alright, Chikorita, first use Razor Leaf and juggle them with Vine Whip, Sakura demanded. Chikorita nodded, and the leaf on its head released a number of razor-sharp emerald green leaves before the knobs on the leaf Pokemon's neck released 2 long vines that whipped at the leaves, keeping them then aloft in the air. The crowd clapped, knowing it took great hand-vine coordination to commit such a feat. Now use poison powder and then safeguard, Sakura said. Chikorita nodded before waving its leaf, and a purple powder surrounded it before a soft green glow originated from the center of the cloud of poison. The crowd gazed in awe at the beauty from Chikorita's combo. Now Chikorita used Razor Leaf to scatter the clouds, Sakura said before Chikorita did as commanded, sending out leaves that glowed from the safeguard that sent a trail of poison powder throughout the air in brilliant display of beauty and coolness. Sakura and Chikorita bowed. What a wonderful use of grass-type Pokemon's moves. But Tsunade got up and took out a Pokeball and threw it into the air. A large lavender moth with large blue eyes came out of the ball in a flash of white light. You might want to get rid of the poison powder, Tsunade said as she had Venomoth use Whirlwind to blow the powder out the large window. The crowd chuckled as they saw Sakura laugh nervously. My bad. No worries, my dear, for your beauty and that of your Pokemon's attack made it all like a bomb waiting to blow. And when you brought out that combination of safeguard and poison powder, the bomb blew with a bang. Job well done. Sakura blushed at Deidara's comment. Arigato, Deidara-san. Such a beautiful display by Chikorita. I hope to see more of it, Shizune said. Sakura bowed and left the stage with her starter. Alright, the next coordinator, originally from Saffron City, but moved here to Johto with her uncle and cousin. Here's Hinata Hyuga. Yeah, alright, Hinata-chan. Naruto whooped as he saw the girl run out on stage. Any further words caught in his throat, however, as he saw Hinata wearing a rather form-fitting dress. Her breasts were a C-cup, which was rather large for a 12-year-old, and the sparkling navy blue dress had slight shades of violet mixed within it to bring out her pale lavender eyes. She also wore a pair of black high-heel shoes. She blushed as she heard someone wolf whistle at her. All right, Quilava, I choose you, Hinata said as loudly as she could. The Pokeball flew into the air and opened up in a torrent of blue flames. Quilava jumped out and front flipped, igniting his own flames that mixed to form a pale white shroud of fire around him. Quilava then spun and landed as the flames scattered upon his landing. Sugoi, such a dramatic entrance, Shizune commented. That Quilava looks like a battle Pokemon, but it's rather good at this contest, Anko added her 2 cents. Alright, just like I came up, Hinata thought. Quilava used quick attack in a circle, then used smokescreen, Hinata commanded. Quilava nodded before running around in a circle while releasing smoke from the flames on his head and rear. The smoke began to swirl as Quilava ran faster and faster to create an ebony vortex. Now Quilava jump into the cloud and use Ember, Hinata said. Quilava, the volcano Pokemon, cried out before running for a bit more and then jumping into the vortex, and then releasing the multiple balls of flame. The wind generated from the vortex suddenly burst into flames, as well as causing the smokescreen tornado to do so as well. Then Quilava continued to run in a circle with quick attack before jumping into the air. Now use Ember again. Quilava complied to Hinata's command and then fired a storm of tiny orange fireballs from its mouth that crashed into the fire tornado that caused it to expand and disperse, causing a large amount of red, orange, and yellow flames to surround the area where Quilava now stood. Hinata and Quilava bowed and Naruto cheered louder than anyone else, which made Hinata blush at the support she was receiving from her crush. The crowd's cheers astounded even the judges, for they never heard such a loud round of applause. That is just amazing. Such skill in the use of fire manipulation. The only trainer I know who was able to do that was Fugaku Uchiha, and his eldest son Itachi, Tsunade said. Sasuke, who was sitting in the crowd, twitched slightly at the names, his teeth gritted together. The Uchiha stood to his feet before leaving the arena. Excellent job, Ms. Hyuga. Your fiery end was like my art, it ended with a bang. Deidara commented. Excellent job. I hope to see more, Nurse Shizune said. Hinata bowed and left with Quilava. Backstage, the many coordinators were resting in the back. Hinata sighed in relief as it was over. Hinata, that was amazing, Sakura and Ino said as they ran up to her. Arigato, Sakura, Ino, Hinata replied. Where did you get that Quilava anyway? Ino asked. Naruto lent it to her. It was that weak little Cyndaquil. But look how strong it got in that short amount of time, Sakura said. He must have been training for a long time. Hi, Naruto-kun takes 5 to 5 very good care of his Pokemon, Hinata said. Hinata-chan, that was amazing. The blonde in question yelled out as he hugged the timid girl. Hinata couldn't take it and fainted. The pressure of the contest and the idea of Naruto hugging her caused her to faint. AGH, Hinata-chan. Naruto yelled as the girl fell limp. Quilava and Eevee chuckled at the sight. Naruto, is this really your Quilava? Ino and Sakura asked. Naruto blinked. Yeah, why? Because it's really good. Aren't you doing battles though? Ino asked. Arigato, and yes I am. But Hinata-chan wanted to use him for the appeal since Eevee doesn't know much appeal moves, he explained, petting the furry evolution Pokemon on the head. But she's going to use her in the battle section, Naruto added. Attention, the chosen for the battling part of the contest have been chosen. The images of the chosen will be shown on the screen, Anko announced as the screen mentioned slid down from a compartment in the ceiling. The pictures of Ino and Sakura showed along with 5 other coordinators and finally Hinata's. Hinata had then recovered as soon as she saw her picture. Oh, Hinata-chan, look, you made it, Naruto said, pointing at the screen. Hinata then looked and saw the pictures and saw she was in the battle segment. She made it. The pictures then scrambled to show that Hinata was facing up against a red-haired girl by the name of Sasame Fuma. I did it, she said with a smile, and then saw Naruto smiling at her before ensnaring her in a one-armed hug. As a result, Hinata blushed extremely before fainting once more. Og Hinata-chan. Battle segment, Violet City contest stage. Alright people, it's time for the battle segment of this course, Anko shouted, causing the crowd to get hyped up. The first few battles were between Ino and a raven-haired girl called Akira. Ino had won. Sakura had faced off against her opponent and barely managed to win had time not run out, for her Pokemon was about to faint and she had only a sliver more points than her opponent. Next is Sasame Fuma versus Hinata Hyuga. Anko yelled. The 2 coordinators jumped onto the stage. Alright, let's go, Clefairy, Sasame yelled. The small pink-colored fairy Pokemon appeared onto the field, its 3 claw-like fingers twitching left and right. Eevee, do your best. Hinata managed to cry out. Her nervousness was starting to kick in again. Hinata-chan, don't get nervous. I know you can do this, Naruto yelled from his seat. Hinata smiled and nodded before a look of confidence crossed her face. And let the battle begin, Anko yelled as the 5-minute time limit began to count down. Clefairy, pound, Sasame yelled. Clefairy ran towards the evolution Pokemon and brought down its hand. Eevee, dodge it and then use sand attack to blind it, Hinata commanded. Eevee quickly rolled to the side and dodged, causing some of Sasame's points to decrease. Then a small cloud of sand was kicked up into Clefairy's face, getting some of the sand particles into the Pokemon's eyes. Now use tackle. Eevee rocketed forwards and crashed into Clefairy's equally small body, sending the fairy Pokemon flying backwards. Some more of Sasame's points went down. Fuso, Clefairy used pound again. The fairy Pokemon repeated the move. But as Eevee was about to dodge, Sasame smirked. Quick, rotate and use defense curl to build up momentum and then use double slap, Sasame told her Pokemon. Clefairy quickly rolled into a ball and rolled along the stadium floor before jumping into the air and descending upon Eevee. Eevee managed to jump back from the initial attack, but double slap allowed more than one strike, so Clefairy quickly moved forward and slapped Eevee twice in the face, and then twice more. One more double slap followed up, making a total of 4 attacks. Now use pound, uppercut it, Sasame yelled, making her own uppercut movement. Clefairy slammed a pound attack to Eevee's chin that sent the evolution Pokemon soaring through the air, eyes closed in pain from the attack. Hinata watched in shock as both her Pokemon and her points went down. Her points nearly 3/4 gone, while Sasame had only lost a little more than a quarter. Hinata's eyes rapidly moved side to side as she tried to think of a plan before she watched Naruto, his blue eyes watching her pale lavender ones. Then the idea struck her. Eevee, flip in the air and then use tackle. Eevee's eyes snapped open before flipping in the air, causing some of Sasame's points to go down since her attack made Eevee look good. Then the brown and white furred Pokemon went forwards with a blur of speed. Run around Clefairy and use sand attack while doing so, Hinata yelled. Eevee nodded, and before literally running circles around the fairy Pokemon while kicking up a multitude of sand. The sand began to swirl and twist, forming a miniature sand twister, and Sasame had finally lost a bit more than half her points. Clefairy's vision was obscured and the sand was buffeting the pink Pokemon, causing more and more of Sasame's points to go down, even if it was only by small amounts. 2 minutes were left on the clock. Nani, Clefairy, Sasame watched as Eevee continued the tornado of dust. Now Eevee used tackle, Hinata yelled. Eevee nodded before rushing into the epicenter of the tornado and crashing full force against the body of Clefairy, sending the fairy Pokemon through the air and onto the ground. Clefairy continued to roll on the ground from the powerful tackle attack before stopping at the feet of its trainer, swirls in its eyes indicating it had fainted. And there you have it, folks. Hinata Hyuga, the already assumed dark horse of this contest, has pulled off an amazing victory against Sasame Fuma. Anko screamed into her microphone. The crowd clapped and cheered. Hinata looked at the hundreds of people and gave a small smile and wave as her signature blush lit up her face. An exciting battle. A dark horse is indeed what you are. That sand attack tornado was very original, Tsunade said with a nod. It went out with bang, Deidara said with a smile. We hope to see more of your hidden skill in your next battle. Nurse Shizune of Violet City spoke with a small bow and smirk. Hinata nodded with a smile before she and Eevee ran off the stage. The next battle was about to begin. Having won her battle, Hinata was about to battle her second opponent in the semi-finals. The pink-haired, green-eyed girl that was Sakura Haruno. Hinata gulped as she walked onto the stage with Eevee. Sakura stood with her Chikorita ready for a fight. Alright, the first battle of the semi-finals of the Violet City Pokemon contest. The crowd cheered as the vibrant announcer that is Anko Mitarashi bounded back onto the stage. Now your first semi-final battle between Sakura Haruno and Hinata Hyuga. Hinata smiled and waved while Sakura gave a cheeky grin and performed a pirouette. Naruto was looking back and forth, torn between his crush and his travel partner as to which person he should cheer for. Now let the battle begin. There are 5 minutes on the clock. Anko yelled before the battle began. Alright, Chikorita, let's start things off with Razor Leaf. Sakura cried out. Chikorita nodded before whipping the leaf on its head and many leafy projectiles flew from it towards Eevee. Naruto-kun's watching me. I can't let him, and most importantly Eevee, down. I'll do my best to beat Sakura, the Bluenet thought. Eevee, quick dodge it and use tackle. Hinata yelled. Eevee quickly rolled out of the way before rushing forth to strike Chikorita. Chikorita used Growl. Chikuo. The yell echoed throughout the stadium and caused Eevee to cringe slightly due to its volume and lower its attack. The tackle attack still struck home and sent the grass type backwards and some of Sakura's points to go down. Use tackle and strike at Chikorita's legs. Hinata yelled. The aim of this was to cause Chikorita to lose its balance and thus have Eevee be able to easily take down the leaf Pokemon once it was accomplished. Chikorita, jump and then use Poison Powder and Razor Leaf. Sakura commanded. Chikorita nodded before jumping high into the air. Eevee stopped to watch in awe at the height the small Pokemon had achieved. Then the stomata of Chikorita's leaf opened and a purple powder enveloped it before Chikorita used Razor Leaf. The poison-covered projectiles flew towards Eevee. Hinata's points decreased by 1/4 as Eevee was struck by the razor-sharp leaves. Eevee panted as she was struck by the attack and then began to cringe as her fur was coated with tiny dots of violet dust. Oh no, Eevee's been poisoned, Hinata realized before seeing Chikorita charge in as the leaf Pokemon used tackle attack. Eevee was sent flying through the air and crashed onto the ground with devastating force. Please Eevee, don't give up. Hinata yelled out as loud as she could. Eevee stood on its paws and cringed once more as the poison affected its body. Chikorita, use tackle again. Sakura commanded. Chikorita charged forwards and Eevee could only cringe in pain as the poison continued to affect its movements. Eevee, quick get underneath Chikorita's body, Hinata said. Eevee crouched and then managed to slide beneath Chikorita's body. Now use tackle to send it upwards. Eevee slammed a powerful skull bash-like tackle that sent Chikorita flying. Aw, Chikorita. Sakura watched as her starter was sent flying before Hinata had Eevee jump into the air to meet it. Now slam it down with your tail. Eevee complied. The normal type struck he grass type and sent it to the ground, creating a dust cloud as Eevee landed on its feet. Panting, but standing, the dust cloud cleared and Chikorita was bruised and covered in dust, its red eyes staring into Eevee's brown ones. 30 seconds on the clock. Anko told the audience. Eevee used tackle. You used tackle too, Chikorita. Both Pokemon crashed into each other with powerful full-body attacks. 10 seconds. Use Razor Leaf. Sakura said. Dodge and use Sand Attack with a tackle. Hinata retorted. Eevee was struck by some of the many leaves, but plowed through to crash into the grass type's body. Time's up. A loud blaring sound filled the arena as both Pokemon stood there panting. The two competitors and the audience looked at the screen and gasped as they saw the results. Both looked like they had the same amount of points, but apparently Sakura had a few more than the pale-eyed girl, and Hinata's eyes could only stare in shock. And the winner is Sakura Haruno. What an amazing battle. It kept me on edge, the grass-type gym leader commented. It ended with a bang. The blonde Grand Festival winner said. It seems our dark horse lost. Personally, I wanted Hinata to win, but all is fair in Pokemon and War, Shizune said. All that effort, all that training, and I failed. Hinata's head dropped before she picked up Eevee from the field and walked away. Hinata-chan. Quilava. Naruto and Quilava called from the stands, but the blue black-haired girl made no movement whatsoever to answer her blonde crush, and Eevee made the same sign to the fire type. Backstage. Hinata sat on a couch in the backstage room, having healed Eevee with the healing machine that was provided. The brown and cream-colored Pokemon looked just as glum as her trainer. It's not your fault, Eevee Hinata told the evolution Pokemon. It's mine. I'm too weak, I'm not fit to be a coordinator, let alone a Pokemon trainer. Eevee told her trainer. Eevee's right, you know, a voice said. Hinata and Eevee both turned to see the blonde trainer and his fire-type partner. Quilava spoke. Hinata-chan, you did the best you could out there. That's what you and my Pokemon are telling you. But, and Naruto-kun. As she flinched as Naruto rested a hand on her shoulder. Hinata-chan, all successes are brought up from failures. That's what my Aka-chan always used to tell me. She was a great trainer back in the day. I always thought she was the best female trainer there was, but I now realize what Aka-chan meant. Only by losing can one hope to achieve winning. I don't understand, the pale-looking girl said. Okay. It's like my Pokemon battles. Having been on the brink of losing, I learn how to improvise and come up with different strategies to defeat my opponents. The same could be said for your contests. By losing, you can develop the determination to become stronger and to make better appeals, Naruto explained. Was all Hinata could say before standing up. Arigato, and Naruto-kun. No problem, the blonde said. Quilava and Eevee both smiled at seeing Hinata regain a bit of the light that once shone in her eyes. Sugoi, I never knew you were such an orator, Naruto, a familiar voice said. Naruto, Hinata, Eevee and Quilava all turned to see Sakura standing there with her Chikorita. Sakura-chan, Naruto asked with a small blush. He's right, Hinata. Don't fret, everyone loses. It was your first contest as well as mine. It was by sheer luck that I was able to beat you by that sliver, Sakura said as she and Chikorita walked towards the fellow trainers and Pokemon. Arigato, Sakura, Hinata said with a small bow. Sakura smiled before she walked towards Naruto and whispered in his ear. Listen, Naruto, I'm not going to ever go out with you. But that doesn't mean you can't find love with someone else. Sakura glanced between him and Hinata. This act confused Naruto as Sakura said her last few words. Treat her right, and the pinkette left. I will never understand girls, Naruto blinked. Violet City Contest Final Round. Now Sunken use Grass Whistle and follow up with Mega Drain. Ino yelled. Sakura's emerald eyes widened as she watched her Chikorita fall asleep before having its remaining energy ripped from its body. Swirls replaced the starter Pokemon's eyes as it fainted. And Ino Yamanaka is the winner, Anko yelled. Ino and Sunken walked up to Sakura and Chikorita, giving each other handshakes. Well, Sakura and Ino did. Chikorita and Sunken just exchanged nods due to Sunken's lack of hands. So, still feeling glum? Naruto asked as he watched Ino receive the violet-colored ribbon that was attached to the golden emblem of the Pokemon contests. Hinata shook her head as she clapped for the platinum blonde girl. And no, I just have to not give up and keep trying. Just like you, and Naruto-kun, she said with a small blush. Naruto chuckled and flashed his foxy grin, scratching his head like he always did when he was embarrassed. The next day, the crowd that had come to see the contest had immediately fled the vicinity of Violet City, and Sakura and Sasuke having left early. Naruto grumbled about having not being able to fight his rival and sat with Hinata as they had their breakfast. Quilava and Eevee were having their Pokemon food. So, Hinata-chan, Naruto asked as he gulped down the last of his breakfast ramen. Hi, where do we go to next? What's the nearest gym town? Naruto asked. Hinata opened her guidebook before scanning through the pages. Well, the nearest one is in Ekritiksi City, but Nurse Shizune said that there is some kind of obstruction in the way on our Route 36 blocking the way, so that L leaves Azalea Town, Hinata replied. Okay, then let's go, Naruto said before grabbing his backpack. He and Quilava then ran out the door of the Pokemon Center. The blonde and his fire-type partner smiled at each other before pausing as they heard two sets of footsteps. The two looked in front of them and froze before glaring at the figures, but the glare was directed at one individual alone. Having paused, Hinata saw Naruto and Quilava, whose flames were now blazing on his non-flammable fur, staring in front of them, their bodies blocking the figures that Naruto and Quilava were looking at. And Naruto-kun, what's wrong? She asked. The female trainer and Pokemon then looked to see two familiar faces. A Spinarak rested atop the head of one while a Growlithe sat beside the second. Well, if it isn't the dope. The obnoxious male voice that Naruto hated oh so much, said before the face turned to look at Hinata and a lecherous grin spread across the boy's face. Hinata-chan, still hanging out with the dope. Naruto growled as he continued to stare, along with Quilava at the trainer before him. Ohio, Hinata-san, Naruto-san, the voice of the second figure said with a bow, adjusting the dark shades. Ohio, Shino-kun, and she froze. Her sentence stopped midway as Naruto released a name like it was venom, his blue eyes staring into the beady black ones of his second rival. Kiba. Naruto and Kiba stared at one another, their partners, Growlithe and Quilava, doing the same. So, how's the journey? Bet you haven't even beaten the gym leader here yet, Kiba sneered. Naruto's eyes twitched in annoyance before he reached into one of his backpack's smaller pockets and retrieved his badge case. He opened it and showed Kiba the shining silver badge. Does this answer your statement? Naruto said. Kiba growled as clenched his fist. No way you could get a badge before me, the canine trainer growled. Growlithe barked in support of his trainer. Well, believe it, asshole, Naruto retorted, and then he and Quilava began to take steps around the canine trainer. Now if you excuse me, I have to go to Azalea Town to fight the gym leader there. However, as he was about to move, Kiba stood in his way. Battle me, he stated. Naruto's cerulean eyes narrowed before trying to walk around, but Kiba still blocked his way. Kiba-san, it is better you do not confront Naruto right now. It would be most unfortunate if you were to go to the Pokemon Center after just arriving in Violet City before your gym battle. No, this will only take a second, Kiba replied to his travel partner. Naruto gritted his teeth as he took a step back and looked at Quilava. Fine, but don't be surprised when I wipe the floor with you and your pup, Naruto said. Kiba smirked. As if you could beat Akamaru, the Growlithe barked before baring its teeth. Quilava's flames ignited themselves as the volcano Pokemon prepared for battle. And Naruto-kun, maybe you shouldn't battle. I mean we're about to leave, Hinata said. Don't worry, Hinata-chan. This won't take long, Naruto said with a thumbs up. The Hyuga sighed. Sometimes her crush could not be deterred from things. Quilava and Growlithe tensed their limbs, preparing for when their trainers gave them the command to charge. Naruto paused as he watched over Growlithe while Kiba was beginning to get impatient as Naruto didn't even make a move. That's it, Akamaru attack. Use Bite. The orange dog Pokemon lunged and bared its fangs at its fellow fire type. But Quilava jumped back. Growlithe lunged again and Quilava once again dodged without need for a command. Naruto continued to study his opponent as he remembered his mother's words. Do not charge straight into a battle. Sometimes it can lead to your downfall ... like I did when I was your age. Study the opponent and find an opening. Then you strike. The words echoed in his mind. Kushina Uzumaki was one damn good Pokemon trainer, and Naruto was proud that she was his mother. He remembered what he could about Growlithe. Growlithe's fire type ability, Flash Fire, which increases the power of Growlithe's attacks when it is hit from fire type moves ... So embers a no-go, he mumbled to continue to study his opponent. Growlithe barked as it lunged once with a bite. Then Naruto saw it. Akamaru bite again. Kiba howled. The Growlithe howled as it charged, and then Naruto attacked. Quilava duck and then quick attack. Naruto yelled. The volcano Pokemon nodded before laying his body flat on the ground, avoiding his opponent's strike, causing the dog Pokemon to tumble on the ground. Quilava turned around and charged, slamming full force into Growlithe's down form. Akamaru stood up once more. Akamaru, Ember. The orange dog complied and released a barrage of small fireballs from its mouth. Quilava, use Ember 2. The fireballs launched themselves from Quilava's jaws and clashed with his opponent's attack. The small explosion formed resulted in a smoke cloud. Quilava, quick attack. And the Pokemon charged, leaving a trail of color behind it. Akamaru dodge and then use bite. Kiba commanded. The Growlithe leaped to the side and then jumped, stabbing his teeth into Quilava's back. Quill, the Pokemon shouted in pain before rolling on the ground to try and get the enemy Pokemon off. After a few more rolls, the Growlithe got dizzy and let go, but the puncture marks remained. Blood oozed a bit from the wound, but the volcano Pokemon didn't pay attention to it. That's it, Naruto yelled. Quilava used smokescreen and then charge in with a tackle. A black cloud of smoke obscured Growlithe's vision before the Pokemon was struck down by a powerful full-body tackle, sending the Pokemon rolling to the ground. Another tackle followed right after the first, and then a final third strike had Akamaru soaring through the air before falling at Kiba's feet. Akamaru stood back on his feet, but his legs wobbled as he tried to muster the strength to remain standing. Kiba-kun ... Stop. Akamaru is wounded and Naruto-kun, why you should heal Quilava. He's bleeding F from the bite attack, Hinata said to the boys. Naruto looked at his partner and nodded before kneeling down to Quilava. Doman for pushing you while you were this wounded. You okay, buddy? Naruto asked. Quilava nodded, but winced when the wound began to sting. Kiba-san, come, we must heal Akamaru. Kiba nodded to Shino and picked up his partner. The two trainers headed to the Pokemon Center, and their travel companions watched them as they began to make a little race as to who would reach the center first. Hinata and Shino sweat dropped. They sure are a hyper duo, Shino said. They sure are, Hinata sighed. So, Hinata-san ... How are you? The bug trainer asked as Spinarak crawled across his body. I am fine. Naruto-kun HH has been helping me get my S stuttering down and its W working. Also I caught a centret and a sea caterpie, she said. Shino nodded to the Hyuga. I can see that, and I heard about contests. You did well to make it to the semi-finals on your first try. Arigato, Shino-kun. Hinata smiled. Shino-kun. Shino turned to the pale-shinned girl. Hi. If it I isn't any tea trouble, would you mind telling me where one C can find a good TM because I need one for Eevee because she doesn't have much appeal moves, Hinata said. Shino thought for a while before snapping his fingers. There is a shop in Goldenrod City, a large mall complex actually. It might have just what you're looking for. Hinata nodded and the two turned as they heard Naruto and Kiba yelling at each other again. The blonde trainer and his brown-haired rival had healed their Pokemon and they returned to their travel partners. All healed up? Shino asked. Yup. Akamaru's rearing to kick some gym leader but Kiba grinned. The puppy Pokemon barked and panted in agreement. Is Quilava alright? She asked. Naruto gave a thumbs up to Hinata. However, just as Hinata and Naruto were about to leave for Azalea Town, Kiba called out Naruto. Yo ... next time we meet, I'm gonna kick your ass, Kiba said. Naruto stuck his tongue out. Don't hold your breath, dog boy, Naruto countered. Kiba fumed as Shino pushed him away towards the Violet City gym. Hinata-san, take good care of that caterpie and Naruto. Just a heads up ... The gym leader in Azalea Town is not to be taken lightly, Shino said to them. Naruto and Hinata nodded before walking down to Route 31. Naruto then spied a little tree up ahead and picked the small yellow orb hanging from its branch. What is this, Hinata-chan? Naruto asked, showing her the odd fruit, if you could call it that. Tea, that's a yellow apricot. It's something TT that some people use tea to make pokeballs, Hinata informed her blonde companion. Whoa, Naruto gasped as he showed the yellow apricot to Quilava and Eevee. Naruto threw the apricot in one of the smaller pockets of his bag and then he and Hinata and their partners were about to continue when they were interrupted. Again. Hey Hinata, Naruto. Both trainers sighed to each other. We can never get 2 steps without being called out, Naruto said. The blue-haired girl and the spiky-haired blonde looked up to see one of the unpaid interns Professor Iruka hired to help with his lab work. The young man panted as he carried a large backpack with him. Once he caught his breath, the intern looked up and gently rested the backpack on the ground. Naruto, Hinata, Professor Iruka sent me. He said he wanted to give these 2 gifts to you all, the intern said as he opened the bag. The lab coat-wearing man pulled out 2 glass cylinders which were quite warm to the touch, about room temperature. In each cylinder was a Pokemon egg, one being the one the 2 young trainers had gotten from Mr. Pokemon earlier before, while the second one was a different-looking egg. Hinata received the one from Mr. Pokemon, the cream-colored egg which had blue and red triangles imprinted across its shell. Naruto's egg, on the other hand, was a pale blue color with a few white stripes separating the blue color into 4 sections. These are... Naruto gaped. These are PP Pokemon eggs, Hinata exclaimed. Suddenly Hinata's pants released a ringing sound, nearly making her drop her egg. She reacted quickly and caught it before handing the cylinder to the intern and taking out her poke gear. The phone app was being used as she saw the caller ID. Professor W, what are you calling F for? Hinata asked as she put the poke gear on speakerphone. Ah, Hinata, good to hear you. I trust you and Naruto got my gifts. The man asked. Hi, the 2 trainers replied. Though why aren't you studying them in your lab, and where did you get that second egg? I thought you only had one. Naruto asked. The second one was a gift from Professor Sarutobi, and he said to give it to a young trainer who I saw worthy to receive it. Hopefully both eggs have rare Pokemon when they hatch. As for why they are not in the lab, I realized from my studies that the eggs wouldn't hatch if they were cooped up in my lab. It has been said that Pokemon eggs hatch when a certain mileage has been covered. Some even say the number of steps the carrier of the egg takes is how long it takes for the egg to hatch, Haruka said. Hinata and Naruto stared at the poke gear before looking at each other and then back to the lavender-colored machine. Well, good luck you two. Call me or come to my lab when the eggs have hatched. I await your feedback, the professor said before hanging up. Hinata pocketed her poke gear and then took back her egg from the intern. Well, good luck. Have fun carrying those eggs. They're slightly heavy due to the cylinders, but they'll hatch soon and then you can get rid of them hopefully, the intern said before picking up the now empty backpack and walked away back to the lab. Naruto and Hinata held their eggs and then smiled at each other. Looks like we're gonna be parents, Naruto joked. Hinata blushed as she heard what Naruto said. Parents me and then Naruto-kun. She willed herself not to faint and succeeded before her blush went down. Now come on, let's back these thing away and continue to Azalea Town, Naruto said as he put away his egg in his backpack, taking up much of the room of the large main baggage area. Hinata did the same and the two then set out. The two walked through the tall grass looking for any trainers or wild Pokemon that might appear. Suddenly a green blur crashed into Hinata, causing the girl to be knocked over. Naruto quickly reacted and caught her. "Hey, watch where you're going," Naruto yelled. Quilava and Eevee looked at their trainers as they saw Naruto help steady the blue black-haired girl. Gomen, a female voice, said, "I was talking to my boyfriend and I didn't see where I was going." "Hey, you two are cute together. Are you guys a couple?" Naruto and Hinata blushed profusely as they shook their heads no before noticing the girl's get-up. She looked much like a Girl Scout who sold cookies, but she was much too old to be a Girl Scout. And she, "Hey, you guys have Pokemon? Maybe in exchange for rudely interrupting my call with my boyfriend. Girly here can battle me," the picnicker said. Hinata was caught off guard by the sudden challenge. "So you want to battle or not, Hinata-chan?" Naruto asked. Hinata was a bit dazed for a second as she comprehended what just occurred before replying. Hi, let's battle," she said softly before taking out a Pokeball. "Alright, name's Liz by the way," Allison said. The picnicker took out her Pokeball and threw it. The red and white sphere opened up and the white light that was released from it solidified, forming a small rodent of some sort. It was pale blue in color with purple-colored skin covering its inner ear. It had 2 whiskers on either side of its face and beady black eyes. 2 large incisor teeth protruded from its mouth, making it look similar to a Rattata and covered with small barbs or points. The Pokemon was a female Nidoran. "Let's how your Eevee stands up to my Nidoran," Allison said with a confident smirk. Hinata looked at Eevee and shook her head when she saw her normal type gearing up for battle. The evolution Pokemon looked confused at her trainer before sitting obediently as her trainer threw the Pokeball. "Metapod, go," she yelled. The green shell of a Pokemon appeared in a flash of white light as the Pokeball returned to Hinata's hand. "When did you evolve your Caterpie, Hinata?" Naruto asked. "She evolved yesterday after I did some last-minute training for the contest," the pale-eyed girl explained. Allison smirked at the bug of a Pokemon before smirking. "Too easy, Nidoran, use Poison Sting," Liz commanded. The blue Nidoran nodded before releasing a storm of small purple needles from its body, all directed at Metapod. "Metapod," Hinata gasped as her Pokemon was hit by the attack, sending it skidding backwards. The Metapod glared at her opponent before stamping its little stubby foot on the grass. "Use Tackle," Hinata commanded. She charged and slammed into Nidoran, sending the blue rodent flying through the air. Nidoran flipped in the air before landing on her feet. "Use Double Kick," Allison yelled to her Pokemon. The Nidoran charged and lashed out with its front legs to kick with them. But Hinata had a different idea. "Use String Shot and wrap up Nidoran's legs." Nidoran was suddenly wrapped up in white silk from the tip of Metapod's shell, slowing her down. "Now use Harden." Metapod was suddenly took on toughened look as her shell hardened, raising her defense stat. The double kick hit, but it didn't do much damage since her legs were currently wrapped up and Harden prevented much damage from being done. "Now Metapod, use Tackle," Hinata yelled. The Cocoon Pokemon charged and slammed full force into Nidoran, sending her rolling along the grass before she was wrapped up by Metapod's String Shot once more. "Your Nidoran is immobilized. I suggest you surrender," Hinata said. Liz frowned as she watched her struggling Pokemon. "Fine, I yield," Allison said. Naruto gave a whoop for Hinata's win before Metapod suddenly began to glow. Hinata looked at her Pokédex and smiled when she saw Metapod had escalated in terms of level from level 8 to level 10. The blue bar that represented experience points stopped at the 3/4 mark between level 10 and level 11. Metapod suddenly began to crack along the midrib of its shell and the shell split open in half. A glowing white being was inside the shell of that was the Cocoon Pokemon. When the shell completely fell apart, the light died down and a large purple butterfly floated in the air. The butterfly Pokemon was about half the size of her trainer and had large red eyes. 2 long antennae grew from its head and a pair of white wings with black outlining them fluttered behind her. Hinata whipped out her lavender Pokédex as it beeped. Butterfree, the butterfly Pokemon. A bug, flying type Pokemon in the evolved form of Metapod. Water repellent powder on its wings enables it to collect honey, even in the heaviest of rains. Butterfree's eyes suddenly glowed a soft blue color before lifting up Nidoran with psychic energy and released it from its bindings. "You evolved and learned see confusion." Hinata grinned at her Pokemon. The bug, flying type, released a shrill free of glee as she flew around her trainer. Allison returned Nidoran to her Pokeball before walking up to Hinata. "Hey, girly, good battle." Hinata smiled as she shook hands with Allison. "It's Hinata." Hinata told the picnicker her name. Liz nodded before taking out her forest green poke gear. "Hey, Hinata, I'd challenge you to another battle one day when my Nidoran is stronger. What do you say, wanna exchange numbers?" Hinata smiled and nodded. "I'd like that." Hinata then took out her poke gear and the two trainers exchanged numbers and Allison left with a wave. Hinata took out her new Butterfreeze Pokeball and recalled her to the sphere. "Well, Hinata-chan, that was an awesome battle and you got Metapod to evolve." Naruto congratulated his friend. Quilava, Evia. Hinata smiled at the two Pokemon. Arigato, and with that the two continued walking through Route 31. They walked through the grass for about 20 minutes and stopped for a bite to eat as they were getting a bit hungry. Once they finished eating their lunch, they packed their things and were ready to hit the road when they all heard the sound of someone screaming. The group ran towards the source of the scream and looked to see a man wearing a red and white outfit and holding a fishing rod. He was obviously a fisherman, but he was smoking and was twitching in pain as electrical charge surged throughout his being. "Hey mister, you okay?" Naruto asked as he bent down to observe the man. "Yeah," the man said as he still spasmed. "What happened?" Hinata asked. Hinata looked at her partner and saw the brown and white dog Pokemon gesturing to their front. Hinata looked in front of them and saw a small sheep-like Pokemon. It was a dark blue color with coal-black eyes. It was covered in yellow wool all over its body and atop its head. At the tip of its tail was a golden sphere that seemed to shine as blue electricity surged through it. "That happened," the fisherman growled as he pointed at the Mareep. "Name's Roy, by the way. Anyways, was sitting here not doing a thing when I spotted the Mareep. I waved to say hello, but then the thing used frickin' Thundershock on me." Naruto smirked as he stood up and took out a Pokeball, knowing Quilava was a bit too strong for this battle. A wild Pokemon with a bit of a spark to it. "Great, I'm gonna catch it," Naruto said as he increased the size of his Pokeball with a press of the center button. "Good luck, kid, you'll need it." "That thing packs a punch," Roy said as he stood off to the side with Hinata. Naruto threw the Pokeball in the air. "Go Rattata," Naruto yelled, sending out one his weaker Pokemon to fight. The purple rat Pokemon hissed as he looked at the sheep Pokemon. The electric-type Pokemon's wool suddenly began to become filled with electricity. Mareep, a bolt of blue lightning flew from its tail and towards Rattata. "Rattata, dodge it quick," Naruto commanded. The little Pokemon jumped to the side. "Now use focus energy and then tackle." Rattata's eyes closed for a few seconds as his muscles suddenly tensed, focusing all its energy into his leg muscles. The male rodent Pokemon's eyes then snapped open before it raced towards Mareep and tackled it. The Mareep skidded backwards before it released a bolt of blue lightning from its tail once more, and this time the attack struck home. Rattata screamed in pain before shaking its head side to side to clear his head. "Rattata, a quick attack," Naruto commanded the Pokemon. Rattata rushed towards the sheep Pokemon and crashed into it. The Mareep let out a cry of pain before it twisted and slapped its tail across Rattata's snout. Rattata flew back from the physical retaliation. The purple rat glared at his opponent, but suddenly froze as electrical charge coated his body. "And Naruto-kun, Rattata was paralyzed from the Thundershock." Huso Naruto cursed as he saw Rattata get struck by another Thundershock. Rattata panted before fainting. Naruto returned Rattata to the Pokeball before throwing another one. "Metapod, you're up," Naruto said. The cocoon Pokemon formed from out of the light of the Pokeball. Metapod said in a monotone. "Use tackle," he ordered. Metapod complied and raced towards the Mareep. Mareep seemed to smirk before jumping out of the way and twisted its body as electrical energy gathered in the orb at the tip of its tail. The tail slammed right into the body of metal as Mareep let loose a strong Thundershock. Metapod cried out in shock as he was sent flying through the air. Metapod used string shot to grab onto Mareep, Naruto said. Metapod shot out a thread of strong silk fibers and it attached itself to Mareep's cheek. Metapod landed on the ground before twisting and swing Mareep into a nearby tree. "Good job, Metapod. Now use tackle," Naruto yelled. The cocoon Pokemon slammed full force into the sheep Pokemon and then backed off as Naruto returned him to the Pokeball as he withdrew an empty one. "You're mine," Naruto roared as he threw the red and white sphere. The Pokeball impacted with Mareep's head and then the Pokeball sucked Mareep in as its body was converted into red energy. The Pokeball shook once to the left, once to the right, and then it shook a third time. The Pokeball then released a small, yet audible click. "Yada, I got Mareep," Naruto cheered as he hugged Quilava. The fire type smiled at his trainer, happy that he was able to gain a new team member. The Pokeball then vanished in a white light as it was transferred to Naruto's PC since he had 6 Pokemon with him. Naruto then whipped out his orange Pokédex as it released a beeping sound telling him of his newest catch's information. Mareep the Wool Pokemon. An electric-type static electricity builds in its body. Its fleece doubles in volume. Touching it will shock you. It can also store electricity within the orb on the end of its tail. Naruto then looked at Hinata and Eevee. "You two wait here. I'm just gonna go run back to the Pokemon Center and deposit Spinarak for Mareep." Come on Quilava. The fire type ran alongside his trainer towards the Pokemon Center. Hinata giggled at her friend's antics. He's a boisterous one, isn't he? Roy chuckled. Hinata nodded. Hi. He aims to beat the Pokemon League and become the champion, Hinata said to Roy. The fisherman nodded. A lot of kids these days aim for the league ... like I used to. Seigaki. Hinata turned to Roy and he withdrew a Pokeball. Seeing as your friend's gonna take a while, how's about a battle? I'm feeling a bit nostalgic seeing you Gakis going on a journey to catch Pokemon. Hinata nodded as she looked at Eevee, and the normal type yipped as she took to the front. Sure. Alright, I got only 3 Pokemon that I just caught, Roy said as he threw the Pokeball. Go Magikarp. Hinata's sweat dropped when the flash of light ended and revealing the red-scaled fish which had a large pair of blank-looking eyes. The fish flopped around on the land before hopping into the water. Carp Magikarp. Beware its power, Roy exclaimed as he pointed to one of the weakest Pokemon in the world. Hinata and Eevee looked at each other and then back at the Magikarp as it just splashed around in the water. Okay. Eevee used tackle. Hinata cried. Eevee nodded and charged forth, bashing her head into the Magikarps. The fish flew back as Eevee performed a backflip after her collision so that she wouldn't land in the water. The Magikarp seemed to fume as it leaped into the air towards Eevee. Dodge it and then tackle again. Eevee did as she was told and leaped to the side as Magikarp landed on dry land and was slammed by Eevee's body, sending it sprawling at Roy's feet. Hinata took out her Pokédex as she saw the little experience point bar go up and smiled, and when Eevee had reached level 14, the fisherman growled as he returned Magikarp to its ball. You got lucky there, but face the wrath of the fishes. Go Magikarp, Roy yelled. Avenge thy brethren with splash. Magikarp hopped around and both trainers and Eevee's sweat dropped at the stupidity of it all. Eevee ... use T-tackle, Hinata commanded. Eevee nodded and charged, knocking into the Magikarp multiple times before sending the red fish into the water with a final tackle. That's 2 down. Damn Gaki, you're good, Roy said. Hinata chuckled nervously. Is he serious ... He has Magikarp. Now if they were Gyarados I'd be in trouble, Hinata thought. Eevee and Hinata watched as Roy released his third and final Pokemon. The Pokeball snapped open and in a flash of white light a Pokemon that wasn't a Magikarp appeared out of the ball. The Pokemon was a blue-colored blowfish with a yellow underbelly and had pink puffed-out lips. Willfish, Poison Sting, Roy commanded. The blowfish Pokemon nodded and then released a string of poisonous needles which were avoided by Eevee. Hinata then told Eevee to run close to the edge of the slow-moving river which Willfish was currently occupying. Use Sand Attack, Hinata yelled. Eevee nodded and swished her tail against the ground, kicking a lot of dust and lowered the accuracy of Willfish as the dust covered its eyes. Willfish, dive down and then use Water Gun to get rid of the sand cloud, Roy said. The water type complied with its trainer and then dove down into the river before firing a jet of pressurized water from its mouth. The attack scattered the dust cloud before Willfish jumped out of the water. Poison Sting, Roy ordered. The Pokemon nodded and fired multiple poisonous darts from its puffed mouth. Eevee dodged it and then used Tackle. The blue-haired girl told her Pokemon. Eevee jumped back as the Poison Sting hit her previous location before rushing the airborne Pokemon. Be sure to hit the underbelly, there are no poisonous barbs there, Hinata informed her Pokemon. The evolution Pokemon nodded and then leaped, crashing headfirst into Willfish's underbelly. The wind was knocked out of the Pokemon's gills and it was sent flying through the air before slamming straight a conveniently placed rock. The Willfish slid down the rock formation, but continued to swim, albeit it was a bit tired. Eevee panted from fighting for so long and Hinata knew she should wrap this up quick. Willfish used Water Gun, Roy told his Pokemon. Eevee was a bit tired and as such she lagged in her dodge and was hit on her hind leg, sending her sprawling on the ground. Water Gun again. The water Pokemon complied and fired off another water bullet. The attack struck and Eevee panted as she rose back to her feet. Eevee return. Hinata called out to her tired Pokemon. Eevee panted and turned to her trainer to tell her she wanted to keep fighting. But when she Hinata's calculating gaze ... she complied and walked back and fell to the ground, tired. Hinata's pale eyes widened as she realized something about Willfish and took out her Pokeball. Butterfree, go. Hinata yelled as she threw the Pokeball. The butterfly Pokemon appeared in a flash of white light. Confusion. The psychic move caused an unknown force to suddenly strike the Willfish, and due to it being part poison, the attack was super effective. I forgot that Willfish are dual-type Pokemon and they are part poison. Though the Poison Sting should have been a big hint, she mumbled to herself. The balloon Pokemon released a cry of pain as the move struck it and sent it flying towards its trainer. Roy quickly raised his Pokeball and recalled the Willfish to its Pokeball. Hinata watched as the experience points for both Butterfree and Eevee rose, and Butterfree grew to level 11 and Eevee's bar stopped halfway between level 14 and 15. Hinata pulled out a potion and quickly healed her starter before putting away the healing item. "Good fight, Gaki," Roy said. "Nice job, Hinata-chan," Naruto said as he and Quilava appeared from the grass. The blue-black-haired girl looked in surprise as she saw her crush. You saw that?" she asked. "Hell yeah, that was awesome how you picked up on Qwilfish's weakness and easily defeated it with confusion. Butterfree's gonna be a strong Pokemon, just like Eevee." Quilava the volcano Pokemon agreed with his trainer. Butterfree's eyes became upside down while Eevee smiled to show their happiness at being praised. Hinata thanked the blonde and returned the purple butterfly to her Pokeball. "So and Naruto-kun, how's Mareep?" Hinata asked. Naruto took out the electric type's Pokeball. "It's at level 10, so it only knows Tackle, Growl, and Thundershock so far, but I'm gonna find some trainers to battle. Hopefully there are some water type or flying type trainers around," Naruto said. Roy thought for a moment before snapping his fingers. He gained the two preteens and their Pokemon's attention. "There's actually a little bridge going from here across this river. My old fishing buddies, Henry, Justin, and Ralph are along that bridge. There are also a few other trainers after the bridge. I'm sure you'll get a good chance to train your Mareep from those guys." "Really?" Naruto asked. Roy nodded and then walked towards his bag and pulled out 2 extra old rods. "Here you go, you two. In case you want to catch a few water types, you can use these old rods. They're not as good as a good rod or a super rod, but you'll catch a few decent Pokemon like Magikarp and Tentacool. They also retract for easy storage," Roy explained as he pressed a little button causing the lengthy rod to shrink to the size of a 30 cm ruler. Roy was suddenly enveloped in a hug from the blonde preteen. "Arigato, Roy-san," Naruto yelled as he and Hinata took their rods and packed them away. The fisherman chuckled and ruffled the boy's head. "Sure thing, Gaki. Good luck in becoming the champion." Naruto gave his new friend a thumbs up. "You got it, Akuzo, Hinata-chan," Naruto yelled as he and Quilava ran up ahead and turned onto the bridge. "Naruto-kun and Mateo," she called out to the hyperactive boy as she and Eevee ran after them. Roy shook his head as he watched the two kids these days. Naruto and Quilava ran along the bridge before spotting a fisherman sitting on the edge of the lengthy bridge. "Oi, fisherman," Naruto called out. The fisherman turned and spotted the young boy. "What do you want, Gaki?" the man asked. "Are you Henry?" he asked as Hinata and Eevee caught up to him and his starter. Henry narrowed his eyes. "Yeah, what of it? Your friend Roy tells me you're a good person to train Pokemon with, so I was wondering if you interested in a battle," Naruto said as he held up Mareep's Pokeball. Fisherman Henry grinned as he lay his fishing rod down. "Sure thing, Gaki. But careful, but water types are anything but weak. And Naruto-kun, don't be as surprised when he pulls out a Magikarp," Hinata whispered. Naruto nodded and smirked. "Magikarp are gonna be easy to defeat, especially with my new little electric type," Naruto thought. "Hey, Henry, what's going on over there?" another voice called. The two children and one adult turned to see another fisherman, wearing the same outfit as Roy and Henry. Why do they all have the same outfit? Naruto thought. "Yo, Justin, this little Gaki here wants to battle me," Henry told his friend. "Justin. Oh, you're Justin. Great. Hey, how about a double battle then?" Naruto suggested as he looked at Hinata. The now less timid Hyuga took a step forward as they looked at Justin and Henry. "Not a bad idea, so what are your names?" the two fishermen asked. "Naruto Uzumaki. Hinata Hyuga." "Alright then, Naruto. Hinata, prepare to be defeated," Justin said as both he and Henry pulled out a Pokeball. "Go Magikarp," the two older trainers cried out. The red and white orbs opened to release the two fishes. Naruto and Hinata sent out their Pokemon. "Mareep, you're up." And the electric-type wool Pokemon appeared in a flash of light as Eevee took her place up on the battlefield. Mareep, the yellow wool-covered Pokemon, cried out. Its coat expanded as electricity charged through it. "Eevee, tackle," Hinata told her Pokemon. "Mareep, Thundershock," Naruto commanded. Eevee rushed one Magikarp, sending it flying before two bolts of blue electricity surged through the air and struck both water types. The move was super effective and knocked them both out. The little blue bars of experience points rose on the screens of the Pokedexes as the two trainers watched them. "GRRR, lucky shot," Justin growled before the two fishermen recalled their Magikarp. "Let's see how handle these Magikarp," Henry yelled as they sent out their other two fish Pokemon. "Use tackle," they cried. The two red-scaled fish flopped along the bridge and splashed into the water. Suddenly the two Pokemon began to swim at fast speeds through the river and jumped into the air. "Mareep, use growl," Naruto commanded. The wool Pokemon released a cry that caused the two pre-evolved forms of Gyarados to lose their attack and suddenly flop on the bridge as they slapped both enemy Pokemon in the face. Eevee tackled them both, and the normal type complied, sending both fish Pokemon flying through the air and smacking into their trainers' respective faces. They cried out as the fish slipped slowly down their faces, showing them to be red with anger and pain. "That's it, no more fooling around," Henry said as he and Justin recalled their Magikarp. "These Magikarp are much stronger than our other ones." The two fishermen sent out their final Magikarps into the water. "Use tackle," Henry commanded his own. "You use tackle too, Magikarp," Justin cried. The two weak fish Pokemon jumped out of the water to attack their opponents, only to be shot down by twin bolts of blue lightning, courtesy of Mareep's Thundershock. "Alright, good job Mareep, you're at level 11. Mareep let out a cry of happiness as it heard it had grown stronger. "You too, Eevee," she said as her starter grew to level 15 and had learned Growl. The two fishermen then left, rather depressed, and returned to fishing for some stronger Pokemon so they could beat the two children. Naruto and Hinata then ran along the bridge for a few meters before coming up to another fisherman. "Yo, Blondie," the fisherman called out. Naruto looked to see the fisherman run over to him and Hinata and their starters. "Hi," Naruto asked. "Name's Ralph. You look like you're bored. How's about a battle?" Fisherman Ralph asked. Naruto readily complied and brought out his electric type. Ralph was easily defeated as his 4 Magikarp were all knocked out from a single Thundershock to each, and Mareep grew to level 13. "Damn kid, you're tough. Say, how's about we exchange numbers? When I train some more I'll give you a call so we can battle again." Naruto thought for a while before nodding and took out his Pokegear and registered the man in his contacts. After the battle, Naruto and Hinata came across by the name of Cameron, who took pictures of trainers and their teams. Thinking it would be fun, the two preteens released their Pokemon and took a few pictures. "Excellent photos. Would like to have them?" Cameron asked. Hinata and Naruto took their pictures and left the photographer. After that, Hinata has taken on a youngster trainer by the name of Gordon. "Go Rattata," the boy cried out. "Butterfree, you're up," Hinata said. Naruto noted that whenever Hinata battled, her stuttering and nervousness would go away except when she was just speaking normally. Interesting, the blonde thought as he saw Butterfree use confusion on the small purple rodent. The blast of telekinetic energy sent the Rattata flying, but it backflipped in midair and kicked off of the tree it was about to slam into. "Now use quick attack." The Rattata took off at a rapid pace. "Use string shot to slow it down," Hinata cried. Butterfree released multiple strings of sticky silk from her mouth, and it wrapped the Rattata and also slowed it down as the attack slammed into her. Butterfree recovered before, by her trainer's orders, countered with a tackle attack. The full body slam sent Rattata skidding backwards before he was raised into the air by an unseen force. Butterfree's eyes glowed a startling blue. "Confusion," Hinata yelled, and her Pokemon sent the rodent flying into its trainer's arms with a blast of telekinetic energy. The rodent fell unconscious and Butterfree's experience rose up. Hinata grinned widely as she saw Butterfree grow to level 12. Suddenly an option box came up on the Pokédex's screen. Your Butterfree would like to learn the following moves: Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, and Poison Powder. Which moves would you like to learn? Hinata used the directional pad on the Pokédex and chose Sleep Powder and Poison Powder as they were the best options out of the three, since Stun Spore would only paralyze and Pokémon could still strike back when paralyzed. Your Pokémon can only know 4 moves. Please select the 2 moves you would like to forget. Hinata chose to forget Harden and String Shot from her Pokémon's moveset, and suddenly a blue beam of energy flew from the Pokédex. The energy beam phased through Butterfree's skull and into the memory area of her brain where she stored the ability to use moves. The beam quickly acted by removing the ability to use String Shot and Harden in battle and replaced them with the ability to excrete the dangerous powders from her wings. "Gee, good job, Butterfree." The dual-type insect gave a happy cry in return. "Gee-ah-rar-rar-rar, you got lucky, girl. No way I'm gonna lose to a girl. Go Pidgey." And the flying-type Pokémon was sent out. Hinata quickly reached to her belt where she held her Pokeballs. She recalled Butterfree, knowing that the flying-type moves would easily take out her Pokémon, and then sent out her Sentret. "Go and use Scratch," she commanded. The Sentry Pokémon leapt it into the air and flipped before bringing down his claws. The claws slashed against the tiny bird's skull, sending it to the ground. A few feathers floated down as the attack plucked them from the normal flying type's head, leaving a little bald spot. "Pidgey, use Tackle," Gordon commanded his Pokémon. The feathered Pokémon sped through the air and slammed full force against the level 7 normal type. Sentret rolled on the ground as it had used Defense Curl to raise his defense and survived the powerful strike. "Quick attack," Hinata commanded. The normal type let out a battle cry before crashing into the Pidgey, but Pidgey quickly countered with a tackle. Now Pidgey used Sand Attack, and a small cloud of dust blinded the Sentry Pokemon before Sentret was hit by a powerful tornado courtesy of Pidgey's Gust. Now Sentret, return. Hinata recalled her normal type before sending out her other one. Eevee used Tackle. Hinata commanded and the attack crashed into Pidgey's body, sending it back. Now follow up with a Tail Slam. Eevee jumped into the air and spun, slapping his tail against Pidgey's face. Pidgey shook its head as it felt its head spin, but was suddenly knocked back into a tree by Eevee's follow-up tackle. The tiny bird Pokemon slid down to the ground, swirls in its eyes as it fainted. The experience points shot up for both of Hinata's Pokemon, and Sentret grew to level 8 while Eevee remained at level 15. Fuso ... Can't believe I lost to a girl, Gordon grumbled as he returned his Pidgey to its Pokeball and ran down to road. As the two preteens headed along the path, Quilava had spotted something shiny and ran towards it. Naruto, Hinata and Eevee followed the fire type up a flight of stairs that were built to climb the steep incline before they found a few items in the grass. A great ball, a lure ball, a miracle seed, and a repel. I wonder how people lose these things. I mean anyone, namely us, can just walk and pick these up, Naruto said. As they walked through the grass, they caught a few wild Pokemon. They each caught an Ekans, Bellsprout, Hoppip, and Wooper, while Hinata caught her own Mareep. The two then went back by the bridge to try out their new old rods and caught Magikarp and Tentacool. The data registered itself into the Pokédex's data banks as they were registered as caught. Bellsprout, the Sprout Pokemon, a grass, poison-type Pokemon. It plants its feet deep underground to replenish water. It can't escape its enemy while it's rooted. Ekans, the Snake Pokemon, a poison-type Pokemon. It can freely detach its jaw to swallow large prey whole. It can become too heavy to move, however. Hoppip, the Cottonweed Pokemon, a grass, flying-type Pokemon. Its body is so light, it must grip the ground firmly with its feet to keep from being blown away. Wooper, the Waterfish Pokemon, a water, ground-type Pokemon. This Pokemon lives in cold water. It will leave the water to search for food when it gets cold outside. Magikarp, the Fish Pokemon, a water-type Pokemon. For no reason, it jumps and splashes about, making it easy for predators like Pidgeotto to catch it mid-jump. Tentacool, the Jellyfish Pokemon, a water, poison-type Pokemon. When the tide goes out, dehydrated Tentacool remains can be found washed up on the shore. After that, the two trainers walked along the road and stopped at the nearby Pokemon Center to heal their Pokemon. I think I'll switch out for a water type. Hinata-chan, which one do you think I should deposit and withdraw? Naruto asked. Hinata looked through Naruto's PC account that held his Pokemon before looking at the blonde. I think you should deposit your Kakuna and switch out for Wooper. Its ground type attribute W would prevent it from being affected by electrical attacks, Hinata suggested. Good thinking, Hinata-chan. You're so smart, Naruto said with his foxy grin causing the girl to blush lightly. Well, for Hinata anyways, at the compliment. Naruto then placed Kakuna's Pokeball on the transporter as it was sent into his PC box, and then Wooper's Pokeball arrived in its place. Wooper appeared out of the Pokemon and hopped around. Woopa woopa woopa, the Pokemon danced around before looking at Quilava. Woopa, the Waterfish Pokemon, jumped atop the Fire type's head and lay down like Quilava was a bed. Quill, the Fire type, looked at Eevee, who seemed to shrug as both she and Quilava were confused at Wooper's behavior. And Naruto-kun ... UMMW, what do you think ISH should put in my team? Hinata asked, poking her index fingers together. Naruto looked through her current team, which consisted of Eevee, Sentret, Butterfree, Hoppip, Ekans, and Bellsprout. I think you could wait until you find a Pokemon you would like to switch out with because your team is okay right now, Naruto advised. Hinata nodded, and then the two looked outside and noticed the sun was beginning to set, if the fiery color of the sky was any indication. Well, yawn, let's book a room and turn in for the day. The Pokemon have been fighting all day, Naruto suggested. I think so too, Hinata agreed before the two walked up to the Nurse Shizune of the center and requested the two-bedroom room. Nurse Shizune handed the key to the room to Hinata, and the two then turned in for the night. The next day, after a good shower and a small breakfast of fried Pidgey eggs and toast, the two preteens, Eevee and Quilava, returned the key to Nurse Shizune, thanking her for the Pokemon Center's hospitality before heading off. So Hinata-chan, how long again until we reach Azalea Town? Naruto asked, leaning to look over Hinata's shoulder as the pale-eyed Hyuga took out her map. The map was unfurled, and Hinata noted the eerie Union Cave tunnels that separated Route 32 from Route 33. WLN Naruto-kun. Currently we're on Route 32, so all we have to do is go through Union Cave and then just make a R right ... or a L left from the map's perspective and then we'll be in Azalea Town, Hinata said. Naruto grinned and pumped his fist into the air. Yosh, let's go, Naruto exclaimed as he and Quilava rushed off, Hinata and Eevee following close behind. After a quick battle using Mareep against a bird keeper by the name of Peter, which allowed Mareep to grow to level 15 and allow it to learn Thunder Wave, the two trainers and their starters entered the Union Cave. Union Cave. The cave was a bit dark, but not too dark that they were completely blind. Quilava's flame provided a bit of light to see ahead of them as well. As the two walked through the cave, they paused when they heard a faint cry like something was calling out for help. What is that? That is the call of the spirit of the cave. A voice called out to their left. Yuck. Everyone looked to see it was Naruto and not Hinata, who had screamed like a little girl. He scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Anyways, a spirit, you say, like ghost. Naruto was deathly afraid of anything having to deal with the supernatural, especially ghosts. Yes, they say that the noise is only heard on Fridays like today, the hiker said. I'm okay. Creepy hiker man, Naruto said to the man as he put his hands on Hinata's back and began to push her. Quick, go, he muttered as he rushed his travel buddy away from the creepy man. The where? He called after them, but Quilava, annoyed with the hiker, shot a small fireball at the man, causing him to shriek in fear at seeing his new vest get burnt. However, Naruto made a wrong turn and immediately he and Hinata tumbled down a slope. The two preteens groaned in pain as their partners nudged them to see if they were okay. Hinata-chan, you okay? The blonde asked as he got off of her. Hinata shook the dust out of her and nodded. Hi, Naruto-kun, she replied as she grabbed his hand, blushing at the contact, as he helped her up. The two looked around the small cavern they were in and noticed another cave entrance on the other side of a small body of water. A loud cry suddenly reached out from the cave, startling the Hyuga, causing her to latch onto Naruto. Naruto froze as he felt Hinata clutch him tightly and slightly blushed when he saw her hugging him. This feels nice, he thought, but quickly removed those thoughts from his head and wrapped his arm around Hinata. It's okay, Hinata-chan. I gotcha, he said with his foxy grin. Hinata blushed at his words. Naruto-kun, she stared into his eyes and the two felt as if they couldn't pull away. Until Eevee nudged the blonde's foot. VERYYYY. The female evolution Pokemon cried out. Naruto and Hinata then looked at each other, immediately pulled away, looking away from each other. Naruto coughed. Yeah, we can't cross that water. The water seems a bit too deep and we don't know if there are any Pokemon in that water, Naruto said. Hinata nodded. Well, actually ... my uncle Hisashi, who lives in Ekritique City. He said how there was a hidden move that enables certain water types to cross bodies of water, Hinata said. Naruto put that fact into his must-remember part of his brain. That'd be nice to have, the blonde muttered before looking back at the incline. The two used a combination of having Naruto's Pidgey carry Hinata's Bellsprout up the incline, and then had the Sprout Pokemon use Vine Whip as rope to help them climb out. Arigato, Bellsprout, Hinata thanked the Pokemon as she recalled it, Naruto doing the same with Pidgey. Naruto and Hinata continued to traverse the caves and fought a few Geodude, Sandshrew and Onix, catching one of each for their Pokédex to train their new Pokemon. Geodude, the rock Pokemon, a rock-type Pokemon. It uses its arms to steadily climb steep mountain paths. It swings its fists around if angered. Onix, the rock snake Pokemon, a rock, ground-type Pokemon. It twists and squirms through the ground. The thunderous roar of its tunneling echoes a long way. Sandshrew, the mouse Pokemon, a ground-type Pokemon. Disliking water, it lives in deep burrows and arid areas. It can roll itself instantly into a ball. They also fought and defeated a fire breather and a hiker and found two items, one being a potion and the other a great ball. Really, why do people not realize they drop these things? Naruto wondered as he took the potion and Hinata took the great ball. Naruto's Wooper grew from level 7 to level 10 as it easily took out the rock, ground types and Hinata's Bellsprout and Hoppip, which she repeatedly switched out in order for the experience to be shared, increased from level 8 to 12 and level 5 to 10, respectively. After that, the two trainers and their starters exited the Union Cave. Route 33. Finally, we're out, Naruto cheered. Quilava, the fire type, jumped onto his trainer's back, causing the blonde to stumble and laugh at his Pokemon's antics. Naruto then spotted two apricorn trees and picked the two, one was black and the other was pink. He and Hinata then turned right and headed towards Azalea Town, but were stopped when a hiker came out of nowhere. Hey there, the hiker greeted. Name's Akatsuchi, any one of you kids interested in a battle? I've been bored for a while after just coming out of Union Cave for a past few minutes. Then why didn't you just go to Azalea Town and challenge the gym there? Naruto asked. Nah, there's something weird going on in their town. These strange people dressed in black with red R's emblazoned on their chests came barging through acting as if they owned the whole damn continent of Johto and Kanto. When I went into town there was a rumor saying that something was going on in the Slowpoke well where Slowpoke were said to live. Well shouldn't we go help those Slowpoke? Hinata asked. Akatsuchi grimaced. I wish I could, but those guys looked pretty mean, Akatsuchi said. Oh, suck it up, Naruto yelled. Quilava. The volcano Pokemon's flames ignited on its head and rear. We're gonna help those Slowpoke then, come on Quilava, Naruto said. Naruto-kun, wait. She called after her friend as she and Eevee followed the two. Akatsuchi thought for a while before smirking. That kid really knows how to get you fired up. Oi Gaki, wait for me. Slowpoke well. Naruto and Quilava stopped in front of the entrance of Slowpoke well and noticed a man matching the description that Akatsuchi talked about regarding the strange people that started messing up Azalea Town. Oi, what the hell do you think you're doing? Naruto called out to the man. The black clothes wearing adult turned to the blonde preteen and his fire type as well, looking to see Akatsuchi. Hinata and Eevee appear alongside the blonde. Listen here Blondie, we're just doing some work. We're raising money for out business by cutting off Slowpoke tails and selling them. They're a delicacy, you know, the man informed Naruto. Slowpoke tail. Akatsuchi licked his lips, causing the two preteens and their Pokemon to sweat drop at the rather big-boned man. Akatsuchi noticed their stares before becoming serious and glared at the man. Who do you think you are that you could just barge into a town and start chopping off the tails of poor defenseless Slowpokes? Naruto yelled. And Naruto-kun. The plural of Slowpoke is Slowpoke, causing Naruto to frown at his incorrect grammar. Hahaha, well listen here. Obviously you've never heard of us. We're Root, the Pokemon organization that's gonna finally take over the world, and finally our leader will return to us, the Root grunt stated. Naruto, Hinata and Akatsuchi took a step back in alarm as they heard the name of the organization. That's impossible. You guys disbanded 30 years ago when your leader disappeared when he was defeated, Akatsuchi said as he remembered the tales of the evil organization. Well, we haven't, and now we're gonna come back with a vengeance, and soon everyone will learn to fear the name Team Root. The grunt cackled. Naruto and Quilava took a step forward. Not if I have anything to say about it, Naruto growled. Quilava's flames increased in size as his anger increased. Oh, so the Gaki thinks he can beat me. Well, bring it on. The grunt said as he brought out an Ekans. The snake Pokemon hissed as its yellow eyes stared into Quilava's crimson ones. Accuso. Naruto's Quilava charged as it performed a tackle attack against its reptilian opponent. The Ekans hissed as it coiled its way around Quilava's body when it dodged and began to squeeze as it employed the wrap attack. Quilava, quick use Ember, Naruto commanded. Quilava's flames on its head began to spout multiple fireballs that landed on the serpent. But Ekans refused to let go as it took damage. Ember one more time, and the fire type managed to send Ekans flying with a final blast of fire from the flames on its head. Ekans hissed as it rose up, its tongue flicking in and out of its mouth. Ekans, use Poison Sting. Quilava dodged with quick attack and slam into Ekans. Naruto ordered. Quilava took off at a fast pace, leaving behind a trail of blue and pale yellow as it avoided the flurry of poisonous projectiles, and when it reached close enough, Quilava slammed into Ekans' body, sending the poison type flying. Ekans hissed as it fell to the ground unconscious. Oh, you think you're so tough? Well, let's see how you handle my Zubat. The Root grunt exclaimed as he recalled his fainted Pokemon and replaced it with a blue bat-like Pokemon that had purple wing membrane, a gaping mouth which showed its only two teeth, which were very sharp. It also had no eyes as it used sonic waves to pinpoint its opponent's location. Naruto called back Quilava as the volcano Pokemon ran back to its trainer's side. Mareep, go. Naruto called out. The electric type released a cry as its wool expanded, full of electrical charge. Zubat, leech life. The grunt commanded. The small bat flew through the air, fangs bared as it used its hearing to lock onto Mareep when it had released its cry. Mareep, quick use tackle and knock it down. Naruto commanded. The blue and yellow sheep leaped into the air and smacked into Zubat, but the bat Pokemon flapped its wings quickly and then turned around as Mareep skidded to a halt as it landed. Zubat quickly flew down and bared its fangs and sunk its teeth through the wool of Mareep as it hoped to pierce its flesh through the thick yellow hide. However, both the grunt and Zubat forgot to take into account the fact that Mareep's wool was still full of electricity, and when the Zubat bit down, easy zap. Zubat's skeleton flashed between being visible and invisible as the electricity coursed through its body, making it look like a living X-ray. Zubat was smoking by the time the electricity was finished and it fell to the ground, unconscious and covered with spark of blue electricity. "Ha, in your face, team." Naruto grinned. The root grunt gritted his teeth before returning Zubat to its pokeball. "You got lucky, you punk, but we'll be back." The root member threw a smoke bomb down, and when the smoke cleared, the grunt was gone. "So Akatsuchi, how far do you think the ferret hole goes?" Naruto asked, remembering the old saying his mother used to tell him. "We'll see when we go down it," the large hiker said with a grin. Naruto climbed down the ladder, Quilava having temporarily returned to its pokeball in order for the blonde trainer to do so. Hinata returned Eevee and she and Akatsuchi followed after. Once the two reached the bottom of the ladder, Eevee and Quilava immediately released themselves from their pokeballs. "Quill, Quilava, Quill." Quilava pointed ahead of them and the four of them followed its gaze and their eyes widened at what they saw. There was Old Man lying down on the ground a few feet away from them. The three trainers and two Pokemon ran up to the downed elderly man and Akatsuchi helped him up. "Yo, Gigi, you okay?" Naruto asked, the old grown gripping his back. "I'm not old, you whippersnapper," the old man yelled at Naruto. "Anyone who still says whippersnapper is considered old in my book," the blonde trainer thought as the old man glared at him. The old gripped his back in pain once more when he tried to move. Now old timer, take it easy. You're gonna hurt yourself if you keep moving like that," Akatsuchi told the elder man. "Shut up, now just rest me down and don't call me old man, my name is Kurt." "Okay?" Kurt asked. The three younger humans nodded before they ran off down the pathway into the depth of Slowpoke Well. The trio looked around, Quilava's flames lighting the way as they saw many Slowpoke. Their tails were cut off, revealing the muscle and tail bone from where the segment of bone was cut from. The Slowpoke were all unconscious. At least they hoped the Slowpoke were unconscious. The group continued to walk through the caverns until they heard some noise coming up ahead. Quilava quickly outed its flames and Eevee and Quilava hid behind a nearby rock with Akatsuchi and their trainers. "Akatsuchi," Naruto whispered, gaining the older man's attention. "Hi, you seem to know a lot about this root organization. Mind telling us about it?" Naruto said. Please," Hinata added. Akatsuchi thought for a while before nodding. "Okay, 30 years ago there was an organization known as Root. These guys were criminals, and their boss was even more vile than the grunts and admins. He had a goal to completely take over the entire Kanto region through the use of Pokemon. In fact, they say that back in the day, the grunts had killed a Marowak just to set an example for the people of Lavender Town," Akatsuchi said. Hinata gasped while Naruto growled in anger at hearing this. However, all their nefarious deeds were halted when a lone trainer with a Pikachu as his main Pokemon had gone through the entire organization and defeated them all. Even when they had taken over Saffron City, the trainer was said to be a great one and his Pikachu was so powerful that it was able to utilize two moves simultaneously, the main one being a combination of Thunderbolt and Quick Attack, a combination that became known throughout the Kanto region as the legendary Hiraishin. Akatsuchi paused as the information sunk into his listeners' brains. Flying Thunder God, Naruto and Hinata thought. An odd name despite it sounding so incredibly badass. The trainer had defeated the Root leader in the end and Root was declared disbanded and their activity ceased for the past 30 years, but apparently they decided to come back. "Well, those guys are evil. We have T to stop them," Hinata added. Quilava and Eevee were narrowing their eyes at the far-off grunts who were laughing as they chopped yet another unconscious Slowpoke's tail. "Okay, so let's go and take them down," Naruto said as he got ready to charge. But Akatsuchi grabbed the blonde preteen's arm. "Hold it, now listen, we can't just go barging in. We'll need to catch them by surprise. They have Zubat and Rattata as scouts, so that means we'll be easily detected if we get too close." Now the remaining Slowpoke, judging from where that other Root member is getting the tails, are on the left side of their location. "So here's what we're gonna do." Akatsuchi whispered the plan to the two trainers and their starters. Naruto and Hinata's eyes widened at the pure genius of the plan. Let's do it," Hinata nodded. The Root grunts were laughing as they counted the Slowpoke tails in their arms and threw them into a nearby box. "Man, killing off these Slowpoke were easy. They're so stupid they forget everything that happened to them 3 seconds ago," a grunt chuckled. Yeah, a female grunt spoke this time. "I mean, come on. But hey, easier job for us." The third grunt was busy getting another Slowpoke. An entire group were huddled against the wall trying to back as far away as they could from the people who killed their brethren. However, the grunt paused when he and his companions heard the sound of footsteps. The grunt walked away from the Slowpoke and looked as a larger grunt walked up to them, his head bent low, and his hat shielded his eyes from view. "Yo, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be watching out for any people that might be trying to sneak in here," the female grunt yelled. The fat Root member then tugged a rope, pulling out a Quilava and an Eevee from behind him. the ropes wrapped around their necks. These two Pokemon had stumbled into the well. These are pretty rare Pokemon, so I thought it would be a nice present for the boss after we sell the Slowpoke tails, the grunt told his 3 cohorts. The 3 grunts smiled. And then that means we might get a promotion, one of the male grunts smiled. Great job, man, the other male grunt clapped the large member on his shoulder. However, while those 3 were busy talking to their new friend, Naruto and Hinata had sneaked around the multitude of rocks that were out of range of the Rattatas and Zubat's senses and neared the Slowpoke group. Once they reached close enough, Naruto threw a small pebble at them. The Slowpoke group turned and were frightened at the sight of the humans, but when they saw how they knelt down, hands behind their backs as sign that they weren't going to hurt them, they let their guard down slightly. Psst, come on, we're gonna get you guys out of here, Naruto whispered. Hurry, Hinata whispered as she kept watch for the Zubat and Rattata that were observing the scene. The Slowpoke quickly and carefully walked over to Naruto and hid with him behind the large boulders. However, one of the Slowpoke, a young one by the looks of it due to its smaller size compared to the others, tripped and let out a poke in pain as it fell and bit its tongue. The Rattata and Zubat all turned and saw the lack of Slowpoke. Rattata, Zubat. The 2 species released their cries, gaining their trainers' attentions. The 3 grunts turned around to see their Pokemon looking at the area where the Slowpoke were previously located. The Zubat suddenly released their sonic screeches to search for the missing Pokemon before pinpointing them behind the boulders. Hey, what do you kids think you're doing here? They cried as they saw the Slowpoke, Naruto and Hinata run out from behind the boulders. Fuso the blonde preteen cursed before throwing out a Pokeball. Merry Thunderwave, he commanded. The wool Pokemon flew out of its Pokeball and released a wave of blue electricity, paralyzing both Pokemon and human. The root members fell to the ground spasming as their nervous systems became out of whack. Now use Thundershock to take out the Zubat. The bolts of blue lightning rocketed from Mareep's hide and striking down all the paralyzed bat Pokemon. Akatsuchi, hurry, we have to go, the blue black-haired girl called out as she ran after the Slowpoke herd. Akatsuchi nodded before releasing Quilava and Eevee, and taking off his disguise, a suit which he had stolen from a 4th root member who was currently taking a long nap behind a rock in nothing but his boxers. Hey why you're not a member? The female root member stammered as electricity still coursed through her body. No duh, now Quilava, Akatsuchi told the volcano Pokemon. The fire type nodded before taking a deep breath and released a column of smoke in the form of a smokescreen attack to cover their track. Naruto returned Mareep to its Pokeball and ran after Akatsuchi. Wait, Akatsuchi, there's only one way in and out of the well, why'd we have to use smokescreen? Naruto asked. Because it makes our exit look cool, the large hiker panted before spotting the still down Kurt. Akatsuchi quickly grabbed Kurt and held him bridal style as they reached the ladder. Naruto and Hinata began to panic. There's no way to carry all of them out of the well away from them. Hinata cried out. Naruto ran in place as he looked around the narrow vertical tunnel for any way that would help them get the Slowpoke and themselves out of the Slowpoke well. Don't worry guys, I got it covered. Akatsuchi quickly took out a Pokeball and threw it in the air. A large flash of light took physical form as an Onix appeared. The Onix was rather large though, so the Slowpoke, Naruto and Hinata had to lay themselves against the wall of the vertical tunnel so that they weren't crushed by the rock snake Pokemon. You know ... you could have thought this through. Naruto called out. Lava. The volcano Pokemon added its 2 cents. Onix, I need you to carry all these guys out of this tunnel. Oh, and by the way, how's about a rock throw for those guys over there? Akatsuchi said, pointing at the root grunts and their Rattata. There's Zubat having all fainted by Naruto's Mareep. Onix turned and quickly raced towards its trainer's opponents, causing the rodents and the Rattata to freeze, turn tail, and run. Onix released a roar as it reached the area of the well where there was enough room for it to rear up to its full height. It quickly slapped a few boulders as it performed rock throw, and the boulders crashed down around the screaming Pokemon and root members. Now Onix, use dig and get us out of here, Akatsuchi ordered. The gargantuan dual-type Pokemon nodded before it reared up and slammed into the ground, eating its way through the rock in the same manner Naruto eats ramen quickly. Of course that's an understatement. Once the tunnel was dug, the group dropped down the shallow drop before following the length of the tunnel. But Naruto stopped for a while as he looked at Quilava. Use Ember on all those Rattata and knock them out so that we don't have anyone tailing us, Naruto said. Quilava nodded and using pinpoint accuracy, it fired small fireballs that crashed into the small rat Pokemon, knocking them out. Quilava nodded before it and Naruto dropped down into the Onix tunnel. Outside Slowpoke well, Hinata was using her Bellsprout's Vine Whip to allow it to bring up the Slowpoke while some used Onix as a ladder to climb out. Once all the Slowpoke got out, Hinata looked down into the darkness of the tunnel for her blonde travel companion. Naruto-kun, she called out, her voice echoing throughout the tunnel. After a few seconds, a reply followed. Yeah, I hear you, Hinata-chan. Naruto yelled. Lava. The volcano Pokemon said to it was present as well. The two climbed up Akatsuchi's onyx before exiting the new, second entrance, exit to Slowpoke Well. Naruto then, by the request of the Slowpoke herd, was able to catch one of them for Professor Iruka and for the need to complete the Pokédex. The Pokédex beeped as it registered the data of the newly caught Pokemon. Slowpoke, the dopey Pokemon, a water, psychic-type Pokemon. It lazes vacantly near water. If something bites its tail, it won't even notice for a whole day. Hey, Kurt, you okay? Akatsuchi asked. Kurt nodded before rising to his feet, but he still felt his back paining him. Og, I really hurt my back when I fell from that ladder. Huso, hey, I don't suppose of you ho. Kurt cried out in surprise and slight pain, and Hinata slammed her palm into the lower area of his back where he had been holding it. A loud snap and crack followed after as she followed up with 2 more palm strikes to his wounded back area. Og, you pale-eyed Gaki. That really hurt and you probably fixed my back, Kurt sighed in relief as he left his spine muscles relax. Then my Aka-chan W was a doctor back in the day. I picked up a few things from her, Hinata muttered as she began to twiddle her fingers as she saw all the surprised looks on everyone's faces. Eevee nuzzled its partner's leg and Hinata stroked the head of the small evolution Pokemon as Kurt stretched his back to loosen whatever remaining stiffness was in it. Naruto and Quilava then ran over to Hinata and Eevee. Hey, Hinata-chan, Naruto asked. Hi, Naruto-kun. If it isn't too much trouble, Naruto turned around and hunched over a bit. Do you think you could me a back massage? Hinata giggled at the blonde's antics and nodded. Hi, and she then began to rub her hands over the boy's muscles. Ooh, Hinata-chan, that feels so good. Your hands are like magic, he sighed, melting into the raven-haired girl's massage. Hinata blushed at the compliments from the blonde. And no problem. Naruto-kun. Hinata was suddenly flanked on her left and right by Kurt and Akatsuchi. Hey, think you can give me one too? Kurt asked. One for me too, please. Quilava. Hinata's sweat dropped while continuously massaging her crush's back. Oh boy, what have I done? She thought. About an hour later and 4 massages later, the group of 4 humans and 2 Pokemon all waved bye to the grateful Slowpoke group before they headed into Azalea Town. Once they reached there, Naruto and Akatsuchi had their Pokemon take a quick healing break before taking them back. Here you go, boys, Nurse Shizune said as she handed them their Pokeballs. Quilava was sitting on the table as he never went back in his Pokeball. Arigato, Shizune, and the 2 males bowed to the raven-haired nurse. Say there, Shizune, want to come back to my place for a drink of Miltank milk? It's imported from the Sinnoh region. Kurt flirted with the nurse. Shizune rolled her eyes. Kurt, how many times have I told you? I'm 28 and you're 67, you're too old for me. Now go back home and make some Pokeballs or something, Shizune said before turning away from the older man, causing him to sulk. Akatsuchi and Hinata's eyes widened as they heard that. Excuse, but did she say you make Pokeballs? Akatsuchi asked. She implied it. Why? Kurt asked. Hinata looked over the man before pulling out her guidebook on the Johto region and went to the section on important people of Johto. Of course. They'll wonder why your name sounded familiar. Why, you're Kurt, the famous Pokeball maker, Hinata said. Kurt's sweat dropped as he saw the 3 trainers gape at him. Kurt Jiji is the guy who makes Pokeballs, Naruto asked. I'm not old, you blonde-haired buffoon. Kurt slapped Naruto on the head, causing the boy to meet the harsh tile floor. Quilava, it hurts so bad, Naruto whimpered as he nursed the large bump on his face, crying anime tears. The volcano Pokemon shook its head at its trainer. The evolution Pokemon gained the 3 people's attentions, and the 3 people who were currently standing watched as Eevee opened the fallen Naruto's bag, causing his map, a few of his unused Pokeballs, and his yellow, pink and black apricots to roll along the floor. Naruto quickly gathered up his things as he saw them rolling away and packed them away. But Kurt had grabbed the 3 apricots and stared at them. It's been a while since I've made a Pokeball. You know what? Screw it. You youngsters want a Pokeball? Kurt asked. Naruto, Hinata and Akatsuchi nodded, causing the old man to smile. Great, cause you're not getting any, he roared in their faces as his head grew to unimaginable sizes. It reminded Naruto and Hinata of when Professor Iruka's head grew huge when he was angry at his students, usually Naruto though. Scary, the 3 trainers and 2 Pokemon thought. Until tomorrow, that is. It takes at least a whole day for me to complete Pokeballs, Kurt said before fishing out a green Pokegear from his shirt pocket. Naruto and Hinata knew the process and quickly added Kurt to their contacts. Hey, I want a Pokeball too, Akatsuchi complained. Well, there are 3 apricots here. Naruto, do you mind if you give one to Rockhead over here? Kurt asked, pointing at the hiker, causing the man to frown at his appointed nickname. Yes, sure, I don't mind. Do you, Hinata-chan? The blonde asked his travel companion. Hinata shook her. I don't mind. Kurt nodded before walking through the sliding doors to go towards his house and get started on the pokeballs. After the man left, another figure entered the Pokemon Center, a large bug net hanging over his shoulders. Naruto and Hinata were about to leave when they nearly bumped into said man. Gomen and Nasai, the 2 preteens, apologized before looking up at the bug net carrying man. The man was slightly pale and wore a large gray overcoat beneath a black t-shirt and black pants. On the back of his overcoat was the symbol for the Pokemon League, a golden pokeball with the words Pokemon League in black written along the halfway mark between the 2 halves of the pokeball, and atop it sat a light orange shiny Pikachu which looked like it was waving as it raised a single paw. To complete the outfit, the man wore a pair of brown boots. Blonde hair, blue eyes, whisker marks on cheeks. You must be Naruto Uzumaki. And judging from your look, the man adjusted his dark sunglasses that covered his eyes. You must be a Hyuga, though given your age you must be Hisashi's niece. Hinata, right. Naruto and Hinata took a few steps away from the strange man as Eevee and Quilava took steps forward, growling at the man. Akatsuki came back from buying a candy bar from the vending machine and was confused at what was going on. Now I'm not here to fight. My son has told me a lot about you two. After all, I did send him to New Bark Town to learn about Pokemon before coming back home, the man said. Naruto and Hinata looked over the man. Naruto's blue eyes widened. No way, you're the man nodded. Yes, I am, he stated. You're Shino's crazy uncle Kitamaro who's obsessed with spiders. Naruto yelled, causing Akatsuki, Hinata and the man to face fault. The man quickly regained his composure. No, that would be my step-brother. I am Shino's Tusan, Shibuya Buram, and the leader of the Azalea Town gym. Naruto and Hinata were in shock. Shino's Otu-san is a gym leader, Naruto whispered. Hinata looked over the man. He doesn't look like much. I know, Akatsuki muttered as he leaned in to join in on the conversation. The 3 were whispering quite loudly and Shibuya could hear every word, causing him to have a dark cloud hovering over him. This caused the 2 preteens and 1 adult to stop talking and wave away the emotional thundercloud hanging over Shibuya's head. The elder Aburame nodded to the blonde. My son tells me of you wanting to challenge the Pokemon League, correct? Hell yeah, and I'm gonna get all 8 badges and beat the Johto Silver Conference, and then once I do that I'm going to beat the Elite Four and the champion and become the new champion of the Johto region. Naruto yelled. The occupants of the Pokemon Center looked and smiled at the blonde boy. He was certainly a determined young lad. I see. Well then, I trust you have defeated Shino-san from Violet City. Naruto nodded and showed the Azalea gym leader the Zephyr badge. Excellent. Now do you wish to challenge my gym? Naruto nodded. Shibuya then looked at Akatsuki and walked over to the rock-type user. Shibuya observed the man. He was dressed in a regular outfit that hikers usually wore, but in a different color scheme. The pants and shirt were all red and he wore a gray-blue neckerchief around his neck. He wore a pair of black hiking boots and had the large backpack and sleeping bag that hikers usually had when they traveled. Hinata, Quilava, and Eevee all followed the leader and his soon-to-be challenger. Once the group reached the large dome-shaped gym, they gaped in awe at how much larger it was than Shino's gym. It was composed of a great deal of foliage that covered the outer lining of the gym and had a large bridge over a deep cavern that led to the other side of the gym. A variety of bug Pokemon flew, hung in or near the trees. The bug user then turned to the blonde and told him to wait with Quilava. Hinata, you and Eevee can cross the bridge with me. Akatsuki, you come too. Hinata and Akatsuki complied with her friend's father's wishes and crossed the iron bridge. Shibuya, Akatsuki, Hinata and Eevee then stood atop a platform and rose to a larger, higher platform above. Once the 3 of them reached there, Shibuya pressed a big red button and suddenly the gym itself began to rumble. Naruto and Quilava braced themselves as the forest suddenly began to shift around, and Hinata and Eevee gasped as she saw the maze that Naruto was currently trapped in with Quilava. Shibuya flipped his net so that the bottom of the handle faced his mouth. He removed a piece of it to reveal the small microphone in it. Naruto, can you hear me? Shibuya asked into the mic. Naruto gave a thumbs up, but he and his starter were looking around as they tried to understand what just happened. Good, now then I, like some of the other gym leaders, like to test out challengers before they come to face me. You are currently trapped in a forest maze of my own design that is filled with bug-type Pokemon. These Pokemon will often come out and challenge you if you step into their territory. Your challenge is to reach the end of my maze and also to defeat the Heracross that lives here, which is one of the leaders of the forested area. The Pokemon here are wild, so if you wish to, you may capture some of them, Shibuya said. Shibai-san, what about Quilava's ember attack? Wouldn't it burn down the trees here if I use it? Naruto yelled out his question. It's no problem. I have installed many a sprinkler in the forest to automatically activate once a fire has started, Shibai replied through his net microphone. Now then, a few rules before we begin. 1. You cannot leave the gym to go and heal your Pokemon before you have defeated my maze. 2. You can use whatever items you have on your person to aid you. 3. You cannot run through trees as a shortcut. If you do, you automatically fail the test, and you cannot come back to challenge me until tomorrow, Shibai said. Naruto nodded before going through his bag and pulled out his Pokeballs. He quickly held up his hand for Shibai to wait a minute as the blonde ran outside to restock on his Pokeballs. After a minute or two, the blonde returned. Okay, I got my Pokeballs and a few great balls, let's do this. Quilava, the fire type, cried out with its partner. Naruto and Quilava waited for the signal to start. You may begin, Shibai announced, and a loud horn sounded throughout the gym as Naruto and Quilava took off. They swerved left and right before coming to a dead end. What, already? Naruto exclaimed as he and Quilava turned around. However, there were a swarm of Beedrill facing him. Naruto quickly took out a Pokeball. Pidgey, use Gust, Naruto commanded. The tiny bird Pokemon appeared in a flash of light and began to flap its wings. A small tornado formed as the wind swirled and sucked up all the bee Pokemon. Since it was a flying type move, the move was super effective and they were all weakened. Quilava ended the small battle with the swarm using an ember attack, knocking them out with the miniature balls of flame. The two Pokemon and their trainer continued to traverse the maze and began to beat back any Pokemon that came their way due to Naruto's use of type advantage, and he even faced a few Butterfree and Beedrill, so he let Mareep take a turn so that Wool Pokemon could gain some experience. However, his two initial Pokemon were beginning to get a bit tired, and he healed them with the potions he had come with. He even managed to catch a Pineco, which were said to be very rare, by having Quilava headbutt the tree it was on, and the data was registered in the orange Pokédex. Pineco, the bagworm Pokemon, a bug-type Pokemon. It likes to make its shell thicker by adding layers of tree bark. The additional weight doesn't bother it. After a few more minutes of running blindly through the forest maze, Naruto finally made the right turn and saw the exit to the maze leading to the bridge a few feet away. Yada, we did it. Naruto cried out in joy. However, his and his Pokemon's joyous occasion came to an end as a large blue horned beetle that looked like a mixture between a pill bug and a stag beetle jumped out of the trees. It had a tough shell, Naruto could tell, due to the weight Ashan showing that it took good care of itself. The horn was rather large and fancy, thus indicating it was a male Heracross. Its black, golden-rimmed eyes stared at Naruto. Heracross. The bug, fighting type, made a commotion with its claws. Naruto looked at Pidgey and looked down at Quilava as he tried to decide which Pokemon to send in. He's an interesting boy. Shino was right. Naruto sure is smart when it comes to practical usage of Pokemon, as he finally is able to apply theoretical knowledge into the mix, Shibai thought. Naruto looked at Quilava and sent it out. The fire type gave a cry as Pidgey rested on Naruto's shoulder. Alright, Quilava, start off with quick attack, Naruto commanded. Quilava took off like a shot, surprising the observing gym leader. He's trained it well, Shibai commended as he saw Quilava smash into Heracross' chest, sending the bug type skidding backwards. Heracross looked up and scratched its chest where Quilava struck and then smirked. Heracross, the bug Pokemon, charged forth, aiming to slam its horn against its opponent. Quilava, dodge it and use Ember, Naruto commanded. Quilava nodded and jumped to the side, but was caught off guard, both it and trainer, as Heracross turned on the dime and suddenly its claws were surrounded by a dark aura. The claws smashed against Quilava's face, sending the volcano Pokemon back. What attack was that? Naruto asked as he took out his Pokédex. The Pokédex scanned the shadow-covered claws and came up with the appropriate data. Night Slash, a dark-type move. The user coats claws or talons in a dark aura of energy and slashes the opponent. This move, like most physical moves, tend to have a very high accuracy. Naruto put away the orange Pokédex and watched as Quilava jumped around to avoid the attacks. Quilava, quickly roll on the ground, Naruto commanded. The evolved form of Psyduck complied and dropped down low to avoid a swipe from Heracross. Night Slash, and tucked itself into a ball, rolling underneath Heracross. Now Ember, Naruto commanded. Quilava popped up as it untucked itself from a ball and opened its jaws. Heracross turned and was suddenly met with a barrage of small fireballs to the face and chest. The fire-type attack sent Heracross flying through the air as it skidded to a stop. Now use Quick Attack. The volcano Pokemon rushed towards its opponent. But the weakened bug, fighting type, wasn't about to give up just yet. Heracross quickly twisted its body to avoid the attack. Its left arm glowed and slammed the arm down on Quilava's back before twisting and crashing another glowing arm against the fire type's face, and then performed a powerful chop to the head. Quilava released a cry as Heracross grabbed it before throwing the fire type away. That was Brick Break, Hinata hissed as she saw Quilava get hit hard by that move. Brick Break was a fighting type move that was strong enough to break even steel if the Pokemon was strong enough. That Heracross is rather strong. Are you sure it wasn't trained? Akatsuchi asked. Shibai spun his bug net around before tapping the rock-type user on his head. You wouldn't believe what wild Pokemon could do if a challenge presented itself, Shibai answered. Quilava rose up as Heracross has thrown it into a tree. Quilava was suddenly tackled from the side by the tackle attack from its opponent. Quilava Ember, Naruto cried. The fireballs flew through the air towards the powerful bug type, but Heracross quickly raised its arms as its body glowed red. The fireballs crashed into its body and resulted in a large explosion. Naruto smirked as he took a pokeball, so it had to use Endure Perfect. Naruto clicked the center button on the pokeball, causing it to expand. Heracross panted as it was very tired, probably having about enough health to keep standing. However, just as Naruto was about to throw his capturing device and catch the nasty little bugger, the Heracross pulled out an orange berry and immediately ate it down in a few bites, causing it to regain its strength. Quilava, the fire-type, exclaimed in surprise as Heracross spread its wings. Hehe, that Heracross is really having fun, Shibai chuckled. FUNN? Hinata asked. Eevee tilted its head to the side in confusion as Hinata held it in her arms. Heracross is a very strong Pokemon for beginner trainers who just earned their first badge, and although many people have overcome its strength, none have been able to capture it, which is why I think Naruto will. Naruto gritted his teeth when he saw Heracross fly into the air. Heracross suddenly performed a loop-de-loop and vanished from his and everyone else's view. What happened? Naruto, Pidgey, and Quilava looked around for their opponent when suddenly a blue flash slammed into Quilava, sending the fire type soaring as it was struck by Aerial Ace. Quilava flipped in the air and landed on its feet. Naruto quickly called Quilava over and smirked as he saw the determined look in its crimson eyes. You're not gonna give up, are you? The blonde asked his first Pokemon. The fire type shook its head. Quill, Naruto nodded before standing up, and neither will I. Heracross, I will catch you. Quilava quick attack. And in a flash of fire, the fire type vanished from Heracross' sight and Heracross' eyes widened as Quilava's speed and power suddenly increased. The fires on its head and rear suddenly took on a slightly fiercer look as the fires rose in size. Quilava's eyes burned like crimson fire before it opened its open mouth. Now Quilava, swift. A multitude of stars flew from Quilava's mouth and slammed into Heracross' body, sending it skidding back. Now finish it off with an ember. Quilava's fire suddenly increased in size before sending out a barrage of small fireballs, and the blaze-empowered attack crashed into Heracross, sending it flying into a nearby tree. Naruto then took out a pokeball and tossed it, the sphere hitting the bug, fighting type, before it even hit the ground. The red and white orb rolled along the tree bark before rolling on the grass of the forest maze. The pokeball tilted once, then twice, and finally a third time before an audible click was heard. Yada, we got Heracross. Naruto yelled as he hugged his starter, and Pidgey cooed in happiness for its trainers and fellow team members' victory. Naruto's Pokédex beeped as it received the new information. Heracross, the single-horned Pokemon, a bug, fighting type Pokemon. It is usually docile, but if it is disturbed while sipping honey, it chases off the intruder with its horn. Naruto patted the Pokeball before he scanned it with his Pokédex. Level 19. Attacks are Night Slash, Endure, Brick Break, and Aerial Ace. Naruto read before the Pokeball vanished in a white light as it was sent to his PC. Naruto then gave some potions to Quilava so that it would heal. Suddenly his poke ear began to ring and Naruto pulled out the device and answered it. Hello, Naruto. Naruto grinned as he recognized the voice of his old teacher. Professor Iruka, good to hear you. Hey, I just caught a Heracross and it's awesome, Naruto said as he read over the data from his Pokédex once more. Hi, I know. Naruto looked confused. How would you know? I thought all my Pokemon go to my inbox in my PC. They do, Naruto, but I kind of realized that the Pokemon are needed to be able to roam free, and so I used some of my research funds to expand my backyard like Professor Sarutobi's, and now it has a large enough space for a large number of Pokemon. And in order to differentiate your Pokemon from that of the other students, I attached specific pins to them so that I'd know whose Pokemon is whose, Iruka said. Naruto smiled. That's great, Professor. Anyways, I gotta go now. I'm gonna battle the Azalea gym leader now. See ya. Naruto said as he hung up and put away the handheld multi-purpose device. Naruto walked up to the small platform with Pidgey and Quilava before pulling the small lever. The platform rose into the air as the pistons applied the force to push the platform up towards the larger platform. Once Naruto reached the top, Hinata and Akatsuchi congratulated the boy. "Good job," and Naruto-kun, she said. "Yeah man, great job. Love that Blaze ability." Quilava used. Quilava stuck its chest out in pride at the compliment. "Well done, Naruto-san, but now you must face me. Come at me with all you have," Shibai said as he took his place on one side of the battle platform. Naruto took his side and nodded to the gym leader. "Who's the ref?" Akatsuchi asked. A loud whirring was heard below as another platform rose up. Shino and Kiba were suddenly atop that platform. Their partners, Spinarak and Growlithe, were with them. "Oi, dope. See, you finally made it to Shino's Otu-san spot," Kiba grinned. Shino elbowed the canine trainer in his stomach. "Do not talk about my Two-san in such a manner, Kiba-san," Shino said as he took his spot on the midway line between the challenger's side and the gym leader's side. Shino then reached into his long overcoat and pulled out 2 flags. Kiba was a bit puzzled. "Do you always have those with you?" Kiba asked. Shino nodded. "In case I am called by Two-san to be a referee, I always carry my flags with me," Shino explained, waving the red and blue flags. Shino raised the flags in the air as he explained the rules. "Alright, this is a 3-on-3 Pokemon battle between Shibuya Burame, gym leader of Azalea Town, and my Two-san, versus the challenger from New Bark Town, Naruto Uzumaki. Only the challenger is able to switch out Pokemon during the battle, and the challenger may use as many healing items as she deems necessary, while the gym leader is only issued 1 healing item," Shino explained. "I think this is the loudest I've ever heard Shino talk," Kiba whispered as he had walked over to Hinata. I think so too," Hinata agreed. "Alright, go Metapod," Shibai yelled. "Pidgey, you're up," Naruto said. The tiny bird Pokemon faced off against the cocoon Pokemon, flapping its wings. "Pidgey, use quick attack," Naruto commanded. Pidgey raced towards Metapod, causing Kiba and Akamaru to marvel at its speed. "Oh, that thing is fast," Kiba said. "Grrrolithe. Well, Naruto-kun hasn't been doing nothing," Kiba-kun, Hinata said. Pidgey then tucked in its wings as it descended, causing its speed to build up. "You're going to need more than brute force if you wish to beat me," Naruto Shibai thought. Metapod, harden. Metapod's shield suddenly gained a toughened look, causing it to increase its defense stat. The flying type crashed into Metapod, but its defensive maneuver allowed it to not take much damage. "Now string shot," Shibai said. "Fly up and avoid it, then use quick attack." But with the corkscrew, Naruto commanded. Shibai was taken aback as he saw Pidgey perform a barrel roll to avoid the attack before diving down, and began to rotate while doing so, making it look like a brown and white drill. "Metapod harden," Shibai commanded. The rotational force allowed for Pidgey's beak to exact more force onto Metapod's shell when the two collided, and the bug type was sent flying. "Now use gust," Naruto commanded. Pidgey flapped its wings as the wind swirled in one direction, causing a powerful wind circulation system. The miniature tornado swept up the cocoon Pokemon, sending it sky high before Metapod fell to the ground unconscious. "You did well," Shibai complimented his Pokemon as he recalled it. He then pulled out a second Pokeball. "Kakuna, front and center," Shibai said. The yellow cocoon Pokemon stared at its opponent. "Pidgey, gust attack," Naruto commanded. "Use string shot to latch onto Pidgey's feet," Shibai commanded. The tornado formed as began to swirl up Kakuna, but the strong string of silk attached to Pidgey caused it to be enveloped in its own attack. Pidgey released a shrill cry of pain as it was tossed out of the twister with Kakuna. Both bug type and flying type were damaged, but Kakuna, being a bug type, was knocked very weak. "Pidgey, quick, use your beak to snap off the string and then use tackle," Naruto commanded. Pidgey stood up and began to peck at the piece of silk connecting it to Kakuna, and since Kakuna couldn't move ... well, things got bad for it. Pidgey had freed itself before climbing high into the air, and then dove down, slamming a full-body tackle to Kakuna's golden shell. The Pokemon quickly returned to its Pokeball as Shibai knew it was unconscious from the power of that tackle. Shibai nodded to Naruto. "Your use of type advantage is great, Naruto-sen ... but can you defeat my strongest Pokemon?" Shibai threw the net ball high into the air as the ball opened and revealed a green mantis-like Pokemon. It was as tall as Shibai and was covered in a green exoskeleton. It had 3 claws on each foot, and its forearms were 2 long scythe-like appendages. Beady black eyes shone as it gained a calculating look. "It's already using its technician ability," Akatsuchi said as he observed the scyther. Kiba looked confused. What does that ability do? Kiba asked. Technician is an ability that allows the Pokemon to observe the opponent's movements and also powers up the user's weaker moves, Akatsuchi explained as he crossed his arms. Shibai-san is alright. T-type advantage WW won't help against Scyther, especially since S-Scyther has such a high speed, Hinata added. Kiba turned to watch his rival battle and saw Pidgey go in for a quick attack, but everyone's eyes widened when Pidgey suddenly freeze up. So it's finally taken effect, Shibai said. Naruto looked confused. Nani? Naruto-san, Shino started. Just before you attack Kakuna, Kakuna had used a single poison sting as a last-ditch effort to weakening your flying type. It was successful, as you can now see. Poison sting has a higher probability of poisoning the opponent the less amount of poison darts fired due to its poison sac spreading the poison evenly throughout each stinger. However, if only one stinger was fired, then that means the poison was very potent, Naruto said as he put 2 and 2 together. Naruto gritted his teeth and recalled Pidgey as Scyther had moved with a quick attack of its own. The Mantis Pokemon stared at the enemy trainer. Mareep, go! Naruto yelled, sending out the electric-type Pokemon. Interesting, Akatsuchi said. Whoa, when did Naruto get such cool Pokemon? Kiba said before seeing the little grin Naruto sported when he heard that. Not that I'm saying they are. Naruto shook his head at his second rival before pointing at Scyther. Mareep used Thunder Wave. Mareep, and a blast of blue electricity pulsed out of Mareep's body towards Scyther. Scyther used Quick Attack to gain altitude and avoid the electricity. Scyther suddenly vanished from view before appearing above the electrical wave, causing it to avoid the attack. Thunder Wave again, Naruto said. Mareep fired a single bolt of paralyzing electricity from its body once more, but Scyther avoided. Again, Naruto yelled. Kiba looked confused as his rival kept using what he saw as a useless move. Why does the dope keep using Thunder Wave? The dog trainer asked. Because Thunder Wave's ability is to paralyze its opponents, and if it hits, Scyther's speed will have no use and Shibai loses his advantage, and also due to the fact that Scyther is part flying type. It could give Naruto an opening to use Thunder Shock with Mareep, Akatsuchi said. After a dozen more Thunder Waves, Mareep became too tired to muster up another Thunder Wave. Alright, Scyther, quick attack. The green mantis sped through the air and clashed with Mareep, sending the Pokemon flying through the air. Shibai then had Scyther use Leer to lower his opponent's defense stat. Quick attack again. Scyther complied and shot forth at a fast pace, crashing into Mareep's body once more. Now use Focus Energy. Scyther crossed its sides at front of its body as a white aura surrounded it, and its muscles tensed beneath its exoskeleton. Mareep, now while we have the chance. Thundershock. Now hurry up. The wool Pokemon mustered up a powerful Thundershock attack that arced through the air. Scyther was still charging up for Focus Energy and its eyes shot open, but it was too late. The electric attack hit home, causing the super effective attack to take down a large bit of health from the Mantis Pokemon. However, although Scyther was tired, it pulled out a citrus berry that was around it. It ate the hold item, causing its health to go back to a suitable level. Hold items are known to be a good way of staying in the fight, Shibai advised. Also, Scyther's focus energy is at its maximum. Now Scyther, you turn. The Scyther was suddenly surrounded by a blue sphere of energy. The bug, flying type, crashed into Mareep's body, sending the wool Pokemon skidding along the floor of the platform, swirls in its eyes. Scyther released a cry of victory as Naruto returned the Pokemon to its ball. Naruto looked at Quilava and saw it staring at the Mantis Pokemon. No, you've done enough, Naruto thought before taking out Pidgey's Pokeball. Pidgey, I choose you. The tiny bird Pokemon appeared out of a flash of light and let out a small coo. It flinched as the poison from the poison sting continued to affect it. Naruto quickly let it down and gave it an antidote he had bought a while back in Violet City. With the poison healed, Pidgey was now ready for battle. Pidgey, the tiny bird Pokemon, cried as it flapped its wings heavily. Naruto smirked, gust attack. The large tornado materialized and struck Scyther, sending the dual-type Pokemon spiraling upwards. Scyther quickly moved its wings and floated in the air. Quick attack. Shibai yelled. You use quick attack too, Pidgey, Naruto exclaimed. The two dual types clashed with each other before separating and clashing once more. Pidgey sped towards Scyther, but the Mantis Pokemon twisted to the side before slashing down with its left side. Pidgey quickly dodged, using its aerial maneuverability in combination with its small size to avoid the attack before twisting and crashing into Scyther's face. Yada now used the corkscrew tackle. Naruto commanded it. Pidgey sped upwards before diving down like an eagle aiming for its prey. Pidgey let out a screech before spinning like a drill, performing a high-speed corkscrew, but Scyther quickly raised its sides. Pidgey clashed with the exoskeleton-covered membrane and then uncrossed the sides from their X formation, slashing outwards and deflecting the attack. Now Scyther, you turn, Shibai commanded. Scyther was surrounded by a blue sphere of energy and crashed into Pidgey with terrifying force, sending the smaller Pokemon back. Now follow up with quick attack, and the Mantis Pokemon's wings fluttered rapidly before it vanished from view. Pidgey's eyes darted left and right looking for any sign of its opponent, but it was suddenly struck from its left. Pidgey remained hovering as Scyther vanished once more. Pidgey's eyes continued to scan the area before it was hit from above, and then from the right. The tiny bird Pokemon flapped its wings to stay above ground and its eyes remained ever vigilant. Naruto-kun, call back Pidgey, Hinata exclaimed. Kiba was in shock. This was the timid girl who couldn't speak loud enough for the teacher to hear her name. Just what had these two been doing that Hinata was able to change her vocal patterns within a matter of days, what others couldn't do in 12 years? Naruto shook his head. No, I know what I'm doing, Hinata-chan. Pidgey continued to get throttled by Scyther's disappear trick as it always disappeared using its speed and then reappeared for a split second to land a blow or two before vanishing once more. Dobe, listen to her. Switch out for Quilava, it has more health and the fire type move could help, Kiba said. Naruto frowned at that. I've been using Quilava for too much lately. I need to rely on more than just my strongest Pokemon, Naruto said as he looked at Pidgey. The tiny bird Pokemon looked back at its trainer and smirked before looking back front, and then its eyes widened as it honed in on a movement. Pidgey quickly performed quick attack to avoid the side that swiped from its left. Scyther and Shibai were the most surprised out of everyone as Pidgey suddenly appeared out of nowhere after its dodge and crashed full force into Scyther's side. I told you, Hinata-chan. Hinata looked at Naruto and everyone followed his gaze as he watched Pidgey's form suddenly freeze. I know what I'm doing, Naruto said before Pidgey released a bright, blinding light. Its form began to change, becoming noticeably larger than its previous form. Its feathers extended to be able to produce stronger winds and a colorful set of plumage grew from its head. Its eyes became sharper along with its beak and talons. The light died down and revealed the evolved Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto, the newly evolved Pokemon, screeched. Why, you foresaw it evolving? Shibai asked. Naruto smirked. My Pokemon and I are friends. I know what they want and Pidgey wanted to fight so it could evolve. Now Pidgeotto Whirlwind. Pidgeotto nodded before flapping its wings. Winds rivaling the strength of a level 3 hurricane swept up the Mantis Pokemon, sending it flying away before it was stopped by an unknown force. Fast, everyone thought as they saw Pidgeotto appear behind Scyther. Now Pidgeotto, gust attack and give it all you got. Pidgeotto flapped its wings and a giant tornado that took up the entire battle area of the platform formed, nearly sucking in everyone else before it nearly died. The winds died down and Pidgeotto cooed as it watched Scyther plummet to the ground. Scyther crashed to the floor, swirls in its eyes. Pidgeotto flew down and landed on Naruto's shoulder. Shibai chuckled as he returned Scyther to its net ball. Shino stepped down from the referee's box and walked next to his father. Naruto ... That was by far one of the greatest battles I have ever had with someone your age, Shibai said before reaching into his cloak pockets and pulled out a small circular badge. It was 2/3 red and 1/3 black on top. There were 3 circles of black that made a triangle formation that took up a majority of the red area of the badge. As proof of your victory over me, Shibai Aburame, gym leader of Azalea Town, I present you Naruto Uzumaki with the Hive badge, Shibai said as he placed the badge in Naruto's hand. Naruto jumped and hugged his new Pidgeotto, but paused when Shibai also held out a disc case. On the disc was an engraving, TM89. This is TM89, U-turn. It is a bug-type move that allows one to hit an opponent before allowing the user to switch out with any Pokemon the trainer wishes, Shibai said. Naruto bowed to the gym leader. Argiato, Shibai-sen. Naruto said. Just you wait, Shino's Adu-san, I'm gonna beat you in a way better than Naruto, Kiba exclaimed. Shibai chuckled as he watched Naruto walked off, getting noogied by Kiba. Shino shook his head as Naruto was raised on Akatsuchi's shoulder and Hinata was smiling at her crush. You've got a good group of friends there, Shino, Shibai said. Argiato too-san. Just make sure that you get there too. I want to see you in the Pokemon League as well, Shibai told his son. Shino then walked off towards the descending platform where the others and their starters were waiting for him. Spinarak scuttled slightly across Shino's head before snapping its pincers. Don't worry, you'll get your chance, Spinarak, he told the arachnid-like Pokemon. The group then descended down to the ground floor as Shibai rearranged the gym back into its original shape. Shibai then walked over to the edge of his battle platform and smirked beneath the collar of his cloak, tapping the edge of his bug-catching net on the wooden surface. He's got determination and heart just like his mother and the practical tactician's brain like you. He may not be a genius like you are, but I'm sure you would be proud of him, wherever you are. Minato. Pokedex, Scene 35. Plot 25. Character Bio Naruto Uzumaki. Hair color, blonde. Eye color, blue. Notable physical traits. Has 3 whisker-like scars on each cheek that appeared for unknown reasons. Possibly a harmless skin condition where the skin never developed properly, doctors had said. About a bit of a dunce, but he has a hidden intelligence that only reveals itself during his Pokemon battles. He is very knowledgeable on various topics, but there are still things he has much to learn. He is rather thick-headed, often choosing not to listen to people at times, out of stubbornness and sometimes as part of his strategy when he battles. He is very loud and obnoxious at times, a trait he gained from his mother, Kushina Uzumaki. He has lived with his mother and her Pokemon, Huyu by the Ninetales, since he was born, and his mother raised him for the past 12 years. He does not know who his father is and whether he is alive or not. Naruto's team. Kulava, Kijato, Netapod, Rattata, Kakuna, Marip. Hinata's team. Vivi, Butterfree, Bellsprout, Hoppip, Sentret, Rattata. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author KitsuneDragon on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.